Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. So then I said, no, Grandma, I don't want popcorn in that. I know what you just did with... Oh, shit, we're live. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, like some days, it's me and Golf Tee breaking down some crazy shit for you. We are not quite sure where the kid is. We thought he was going to be around, but Fresh is still on his freshcation at the moment. Hi, Mama Fresh. We love you. We believe Fresh will be back next week for the show. But we have got plenty that we can talk about this fine evening here. We definitely need to go over some of the fucking craziness that broke down last weekend over there. And we do have some interesting announcements that we've gotten over the last couple days that we do need to go over with you fine folks, because there's some strange ones here. But first, before we get into that, the man, the myth, the legend himself, my Wednesday night homeboy, my combat shit-talking compatriot, Mr. Golf Tee Vapes himself. How you doing, brother?
Living the American dream. Paycheck to paycheck.
There you go.
No, that's a pretty interesting weekend last weekend for everything going on in the fight world, so... Considering what the cards were that were available to us, there was some interesting stuff that did come out of it.
Very, very true. So starting right off at the top, kind of disappointingly a little bit, I guess would be the best way to say it. Submission Underground 23 kicked off and unfolded, with the exception of basically two matches, exactly the way that everyone pretty much saw it unfolding. The main one that did not go, I think, as anyone really anticipated, was the Jillian Roberts match. I did not see the throat cuddle dealer not coming home with that little sug metal around her neck, but somehow, credit to the challenger there. But other than that, tag championship changed hands again since they hashtag rigged it against hashtag Team Simon. So completely understood that, or expected that to happen, rather. It did happen in an actually pretty funny manner. If you guys have not seen the recap, they have put that shit to yakety sax, and it is fucking hilarious. Tag team jiu-jitsu at its finest with yakety sax over top is just, it's a chef kiss moment. Like, it's glorious. But we kind of knew that the new guys were going to come in and take over from fucking Lencioni. He's such a fucking clown. But hopefully they get Team Simon back in there to take on Team Toro and get their fucking belts back here pretty soon. As anticipated, fucking Mason Fowler, man. Hashtag and fucking still. That dude is a fucking beast. Like, they have quite literally thrown all of the champions they can find at him, and he has beaten them all, including Craig Jones, not once but twice in the second time, with a no verbal submission clause added to it just to make sure it was fucking legit. He is so dominant in Submission Underground right now that Submission Underground 24 is literally being constructed for the sole purpose of having a 10-man tournament, winner getting $5,000 and the next shot at Mason and the belt. He has, for all intents and purposes, become the Mighty Mouse of Submission Underground. Like, he cleared out, and it's the ultimate. It's open weight. So this isn't a division. This is who fucking wants some. Like, he has taken on all comers, from dudes a little smaller to him to dudes who had like 115 pounds on him, and everyone gets their ass beat. Like open fucking weight ultimate champion. That strap has been around his waist for I think it's 9 events in a row now for a fucking reason. And they are now constructing a tournament, bringing in anyone they can just to find someone who might be able to compete with him and give him some kind of a challenge here at this point. Um, I, I don't see it happening anytime soon unless Mason really hurts himself in training, which I don't see likely happening because he's very smart. And in his school, he practices safe rolling and things like that. So I don't really see Mason get hurt in the off season very much. And there's really not a whole lot of top level competition, with the exception of the rare, unlikely fucking unicorn of a possibility of Gordon Ryan pulling his head out of his ass and deciding that he wants to come compete over here, or, you know, maybe Danaher himself entering. I don't think Gary Tonen's really that much involved in grappling anymore. He's really converting into MMA and coaching, so I don't really think Gary would be much of a threat at this point. But Gordy did just sign the contract with One to do grappling and potential MMA with One FC. So for a guy who wants to stay sharp in his jiu-jitsu and prove that he's the best in the world, his training partner and boyfriend, Craig Jones, has had his ass thoroughly handed to him twice by Mason and all of their training partners at this point now. So aside from them somehow trying to convince Gordy to come over and go at it, I don't think that belt's moving from Mason's waist for a fucking while now.
No, I'm in 100% agreement there. That dude is on a whole different fucking level when it comes to submission grappling, and he's already taken out who's who in that fucking category over there. I mean, you look at the names he's fucking checked off the list, you're going, well, what else is there? It's kind of like watching Valentina Shevchenko right now in her division. She's checked off every fucking name on the list. It's just a matter of who else is there. Maybe he goes after a different fucking belt. Maybe he becomes a double strap holder. That's I think that would be his only other fucking option.
I was just gonna say, and the funny thing is that I don't remember if it was his story or his homie's story, but one of his like main teachers, assistants, training, rolling partners, like gym dudes that is there with him 98% of the fucking time, was teasing Mason the other day that if he doesn't quit fucking around and beating everybody, that he's gonna have to step up and they're gonna have to go in and take the tag team championship belt next because there's nothing left for him to do. Honestly, at this point, other than wanting to see Team Simon get their fair shot back at the fucking belt, that's not really that far of a stretch to think of either. So you better look out because Mason Fowler is going to take all the fucking belts.
It's out there for the taking right now for him. I mean, right now in submission underground, that's his oyster right now, and good luck anybody else trying to get to that first.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I will say, for a guy who's kind of been out of the scene for as long as he has, Carlos Condit looked pretty fucking good against Jake Ellenberger. Now, that being said, Jake Ellenberger has yet to really look that terrific in Submission Underground. You can see his wrestling is still pretty goddamn good, but his jiu-jitsu is kind of dog shit. So he can power his way through a lot of or out of a lot of situations, but when it comes to technique and finesse, he gets in trouble real fucking quick. And Carlos Condit kind of showed that the natural born killer might not be the strongest dude in the world, but when them limbs get to torquing and he gets to fucking levering on that ass, he can still hurt you pretty goddamn good. He did a pretty damn good job. He definitely earned that fucking medal coming home around his neck. That though brings us over to the fucking crazy shit show that was Bellator. I think the biggest takeaway from that event for me was that we learned in basically the commentary, in the build-up rather, that Cyborg has made a point to quote unquote buckle down and has a nutritionist living with her and is training differently than she used to and isn't having as much of a cut to 145 as she used to. She's staying closer to 145, and is as weird as it is for these words to come out of my mouth, I almost feel like she did better when she cut more weight. I understand that it's better for your body to stay closer to the weight you fight at. Obviously, we harp on that all the fucking time. But in this weird steroid fueled fucking situation we're talking about with fucking Cyborg here, when she was walking around at 180, 190, almost 200 fucking pounds and cutting down hard to 145, where they're putting her in the fucking bathtub with the fucking salve on her and she's doubling fucking birth control pills and doing all kinds of fucking stupid crazy shit. When she got in the fucking cage after those 145 pound cuts, she was a fucking demon, and she was going to take your fucking head off, like it or not, in the first 5 minutes of that goddamn fight. If she had to go 10 minutes, she would, but she generally was coming out to rip you to fucking shreds in 5 minutes or less. We know for a fact what Leslie Smith is capable of. We have seen for years and years and years. And if you go back and watch the replay of their first fight, which they showed before this happened, I don't understand how anyone calls that a questionable stoppage. Cyborg quite literally had that bitch unconscious staring at fucking rafters. So Cyborg knocked her smooth the fuck out when they first fought years ago. But where that comes back around is that when we see Cyborg this last weekend against Leslie Smith looked very much the same this weekend as she did 6 years ago, the first time they fought for the 49 and a half seconds or whatever it was we got to see her then. But Leslie Smith looked exactly the fucking same that we have seen throughout her stint in the UFC and now her subsequent run in Bellator. She has not really changed her style in the least bit over years. Cyborg hasn't changed her style too terribly much, but she's changed her physique and how she's getting to the point where she can use that style physically now. And we did not see that same I'm gonna fucking wood chipper you in 5 minutes Cyborg this last weekend. What we saw was a very almost more drained, slower reacting, less threatening version of Cyborg, who was more than happy to almost willingly go 25 minutes of back and forth bullshit with Smith when there really wasn't any need to be. This fight could have absolutely been a mirror image of the first one. She could have come out way later a couple of good fucking times because Smith does not keep her fucking hands up. So this could have been another sub-minute fight, literal replay of the first one. But Cyborg almost looked like she was too drained to step on the gas pedal and really give that Cyborg rush that she's really known for. And weirdly enough, with I think it was 15 seconds or 14 seconds left in the fucking fight, Cyborg clipped Smith. She's hurt, she's down, but she's not out. Quite clearly, she's just dropped for like the 73rd fucking time in the fight. And Cyborg goes over and Cyborg's working on her almost identically to the way she has done literally a half a dozen times throughout the fight. At this point, Smith does not look like she is in any more trouble than she was in at any of the other times this exact fucking situation happened. But for whatever reason, at the very end of the goddamn fight, the referee decided that he needed to jump in and stop this and call it a TKO at that point. Weird fucking ending to a weird fight, but it's, I don't know. It seems like Cyborg is almost lost a step by training smarter to me, if that phrasing makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the other side of that, I wanted to try to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she was trying to be more measured versus the all-out fucking let the wild animal loose in the fucking petting zoo type situation, because that's kind of what it looked like before. It used to be you let a fucking goddamn bobcat loose in the fucking chicken area of the petting zoo. That's what it used to look like. They fucking things were getting murdered. No, it was more like you let a semi-feral house cat in there. Still gonna kill the fucking chickens,
Right.
but not with the same tenacity. So I don't know if it was her just being that much more drained from it, or if it was actually a measured process. Which, if it's a measured process, good for her. Fucking
Right.
good for
Yeah, I
her.
mean,
But
if she
that's
figured
me
out how to
giving her
do
the
it, that
benefit of the doubt here.
yeah,
Because
exactly. If she's
I
figured out
mean,
how to do that, good on her. I agree. But
at the
skeptical
same
take
time,
skeptical
that's not what people tune in to see Cyborg for.
that as well.
Granted, caveat to that statement though is if she's maturing as a fighter, I'm fucking ecstatic for that. Because that she realizes she's getting long in the tooth, but she really is.
Right.
That fucking crazy Ultimate Warrior style fucking warpath shit only works for so long before your body just says, yeah, nope, we've had enough. You need to do something differently. So I think that we're starting to get towards that tail end of her career. And don't get me wrong, she's probably still the most dangerous 145 that Bellator has, period.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Yeah.
I
And then like her call out of Kat Zingano of
I know.
I look, I look, I'm I like Kat Zingano.
I love
She's
Cat.
always
I
been
fucking
hard trainer, hard fighter,
yeah.
but that just doesn't seem like the right call out. I guess maybe it's because it's one on the list that she hasn't got to yet.
Well, and
And
I think that's my caveat to this whole situation is that if they're letting her be this more measured fighter because she's starting to get on the tail end of her career, but they're going to let her be the champ as this more measured fighter. The irony is that she got the belt by being the cyborg everyone tunes in to watch against Julia Budd, who is the definition of a measured fighter and will give you a good 25 minutes every time you put her in the cage.
yep.
They took what they wanted and set it aside for something that was not going to be what they were getting for more than one fight. And it's weird that Cyborg is the thing that we're talking about in that situation. That she's not the cyborg of old anymore, that she's starting to fight like a quote unquote normal, matured fighter.
And you know what? That might be the way her career tails out too, is it might end up as we see this hot, fast fucking lightning come in. Look, think of let me put it this way. Look at Anderson Silva, the way he came into the sport, fucking into the UFC, just wrecking people and doing it flawlessly, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then after the whole fucking Chris Weidman shit, he was a lot more measured. He didn't win hardly any fights at that point. But his career tailed that way. Like you noticed, even after he got the belt, he wasn't the same wild fighter he had been. He kind of slowed his pace and was a lot more measured. Don't get me wrong, he still made people look really fucking stupid,
Right.
which Cyborg did here as well. So I kind of see a little similarities as that clock winds down on your career. You do tend to end up having to be a lot more measured because your body's like, nope, you've done enough of this. It's time for us to slow down, take our time, be more measured about it. So I can see that. And on the other side of it, it might be just a bad fucking the nutrition thing because she was so used to having so much fucking mass on her. Her body might not be used to having so little, and that may
That's
have fucked her too.
that's exactly what I meant by the smarter way to get to where she wants to be might actually be more detrimental
And
to her.
and here's the other kicker to that though: is maybe it's just this one fight that causes this issue, whereas her body gets used to what she's got going on now. Maybe we'll see that fucking wild cyborg again. Maybe it just took that one little iteration to get
Yeah,
through in order for her body to go, oh, okay, this is normal.
yeah, I see what you're saying. And for her sake, really, I hope that's what it is. That she literally is just doing everything so differently than how she's used to doing it, that her body was able to function, but wasn't quite in normal mode or adjusted mode, so to speak. But that fight may have helped her adjust to where she wants to be now. And then the next time out, we get to see the same Cyborg we're used to, but healthier getting there.
Only time will tell on that one, but I mean, I still think her call out was a little fucking weird, but it is what it is. And don't get me wrong, sure, Kat, go take your shot at it, but I do, as much as I appreciate what Kat's done for the sport, because she's been around for a long fucking time too.
Yes,
she's not the girl to get it done. She's a very tough woman, but she is not the girl to get that done. I hate to say that. But
as word of a statement as it is, I think Kat Zingano would make a great top 5 gatekeeper for Bellator. But I don't.
She's ranked what, number 4 right now in Bellator, I think. Yeah. So she's right at the right door there. No, she fits that spot.
Right where she is. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, if you can't get past Kat, you shouldn't be at the top. And Kat's a very solid fighter. I mean, she's very well rounded. She's been around a long time. To be quite honest, she used to be a yes man for any fucking fight organization she worked in, where it was, yeah, I'll fight him. Yeah, I'll fight him. She was the female version of Donald Cerrone at one point.
I was going to say she's the lady cowboy. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she definitely earned her spot and her keep. So if they give her a title fight, I'm not mad about it, but I definitely don't see her winning it. However, don't get me wrong, she could, and I say could, but the chances are slim. Even though, don't get me wrong, I would be ecstatic to finally see her fucking win a title. Yeah, in a bigger spotlight,
more recognizable situation. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is ironically enough, based right on what we were just talking about here, I think if Cyborg was really using this as an adjustment fight to all the new things and can come back as the Cyborg of old, she's gonna fuck Kat up. Yeah. She really is. On the other hand, though, if we see against Kat Zingano the Cyborg that we just saw against Leslie Smith, that may be how Cyborg gets sent her fucking walking papers, because I think the Cyborg that we saw last weekend would get fucking ragdolled by Kat. She would get picked up and thrown the fuck around. As light as Leslie Smith was trying to work, Kat would have fucking whipped that girl around.
Yeah, because Kat's got some fucking amazing wrestling and fucking judo. I mean, go watch anybody who's questioning this. Go check her social medias. She works so fucking hard on her goddamn on all of her grappling. It's fucking amazing, and she really does a great fucking job at it.
Yeah, it could get real interesting if the Cyborg we saw this weekend is the same Cyborg that shows up against Kat Zingano. That could make for a very bad night for Cyborg. So it's going to be interesting to see how that whole saga unfolds, really. So moving from there, that'll bring us over to this last weekend's UFC Vegas 27. Interesting card overall. Congratulations, Mr. Ismagulov, for opening the fight and beating the shit out of that fucking douchebag. And that brought us right into one of my favorite moments of the evening that has, for some reason, since been almost completely overlooked. And it was amazing to fucking watch in real time. David Dvorak with a one-arm rear naked choke, chinning down on his own wrist and putting the torque on, and then watching the oh shit in Rondero's face when he realized that homeboy was getting him while he had his other arm still. Like, he was getting got with one fucking hand and had to fucking tap out. That was beautiful for me. That was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that was an amazing oh fuck moment that you could see the eyes change from I'm good to uh-oh.
Not good. Yeah.
Not good. Somebody hit the emergency button, hit the eject button, we're out.
Yeah, hit the oh shit button for sure. Yeah, no, I was supremely impressed with the way that Dvorak put that in, and then knew that that one arm was still trapped. But I've got under the fucking chin. We're doing this. Lean in and torque. He fucking got him. So, bravo to Mr. Dvorak. Couple fights later, we had a 1 minute stoppage. 1 fucking minute. Bruno Silva came out and just fucking pieced Victor Rodriguez up from the opening bell till the fucking call off. That almost seemed like an insult of a fight. Like Bruno Silva came out there disgusted that Sean Shelby would throw this fucking soup can at him and showed him exactly why that was a bad decision. Literally 1 minute start to fucking finish. Homeboy is fucking baby elephanting on the goddamn ground. Like props to Bruno Silva for that one.
That was fucking amazing. They did just what a way to really get your name out there. Like,
Fuck yeah.
It made Victor Rodriguez look like he was standing still. Right?
I think the biggest mistake he made was using his moment after that incredible fucking knockout to talk about Henry Cejudo and to talk about the Pitbull brothers. Like, I get that you train with some high-level dudes, but this is your moment. Don't worry about a dude who's already had the belt. You're trying to make your name. Let them do their own publicity. Like, he should have called somebody out and been like, and fuck you, and throw the mic down.
Yeah, with that kind of fucking finish, that's definitely your moment to shine. However, I'm always still a big fan of, hey, accrediting somebody else and saying, hey, I know this is my time, but, you know, these guys here, I'm always a big fan of that. But when it's something like that where you just came out and completely decimated somebody, dude, you want to get a big name in the UFC? That's how you get it. You do that, and then you say, hey, I want that motherfucker up there. You see him up on the ladder? I'm about to pull his fucking ass off and break his fucking neck. Nope.
Right.
We get, nope, I'm going to tootle around in the kiddie pool for a little while.
Yeah, because and to be fair, I have no problem with anybody giving credit to their fucking team. I love when they do that, but the way I see it is when you're getting that immediate post-fight interview, that's when you got that adrenaline running, call your fucking shot. When you sit down at that post-fight press conference later, when you had something to drink and you got a t-shirt on and you had a moment to sit and breathe, then you go out and you say, first and foremost, I want to thank my team who got me ready for this and clearly had me in great shape. As you can see by the work that I did, that was because they had me in such great shape. But when you're still standing there with your shirt off, dripping in sweat, huffing and puffing, call some motherfucker out.
Yep.
But, you know, we'll see how he goes. He's definitely getting his fucking attention for sure. Moving along from there, surprisingly enough, this fight went all 15 minutes. Court McGee kind of seemed angry when he came out. This was very much another one of those kind of Bruno Silva moments where Court McGee came out almost fucking insulted that they were going to throw this fucking guy in his way when he's trying to fucking do something. Court McGee came out, to his credit, and went all 15. But man, if he did not just fucking work Claudio Silva like a part-time job the whole 15 fucking minutes. Court's not much of a big finisher. He's not really much of that ground and pound dude. He is more of a wrestle the shit out of you and literally just wear every fucking ounce of energy out of you. And Claudio Silva learned that the hard fucking way. Court just worked his ass, man.
Court looked fan-fucking-tastic, in my opinion. Granted, it was against Claudio Silva, and nothing against Claudio Silva. You made it to the big time, but at the same time, that's the best I've seen Court look in a long fucking time. Like, he was on point with everything he was doing, and I like Court McGee. I've always liked him, even though I know he's never going to be the top dog. At least I've never thought that. But that fight kind of made me go, you know what? There might still be a glimmer of hope in that tank for you to get to the top.
Right? Yeah, you kind of got to take a second look after some shit like that because you're like,
and
I fucking work, man.
I think the greatest thing that I heard that was right after the fight, that post fight. He said, I got this little old neighbor. Her husband passed away, and I was talking to her the one day, and she said, you need to become your moniker when you fight. Don't be the sweet court I know you as. Be the crusher. So I came out and I became the crusher. And I was like, yes, you needed a pep talk from probably a fucking 80 or 90-year-old lady
little
to
old
tell you to
lady,
go out and crush somebody versus being the nice guy he really is. Because, I mean, if you watch him in any press conferences, he's never a shit talker. He's just a genuinely nice person. But yeah, become your fucking moniker, dude. If you keep doing that, put that lady in your corner.
Get that little old lady a fucking jersey and get her in the corner. Damn right.
No shit. Because you know what? If that's what it took for you to be that great,
It worked.
that's amazing. Not to mention, I get it. He said, I'm not doing this other than for a living, but also to show my children what you can do with your life. You can be a winner. You can be capable. You can push through hardships. Yeah. That little old lady, though, generally you hear, oh, it's my kids that push me. No. Here's this little old lady. Fucking become the crusher. That's all I'm saying to myself. So anytime I'm going through something hard, I'm going to go. I need to go talk to one of my little lady neighbors and get some of that advice to tell them, look, don't be the nice guy you generally are to us. Go be an asshole somebody.
Grind it out. Get on it.
That's the greatest fucking little post fight I've heard in a long time. That literally made my day. I fucking had a grin from ear to ear when I heard that. I was like, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that was real fucking cool. Speaking of real fucking cool, that led us right into, unfortunately, the kid's not here for me to give extra shit about. RJ's buddy Huggy Bear came out just feeling his goddamn self, and I think a little bit too much. He was fucking dancing, popping and locking and getting down on the way to the fucking octagon, and he just, for a dude making his debut, he looked too comfortable. And we have seen this a couple of times before, and it almost always goes exactly like this. I get that you're known to be that hype loose dude, that you're going to get in there and you're going to, feel yourself and you're going to have a good time. And you're going to get in, you're going to put on a fucking show. But this is your debut. One, that means you should take it a little more serious than you normally would. Two, this is Ben fucking Rothwell. Don't overlook this man by any fucking stretch of the imagination. And Chris Barnett kind of did both of those. The irony being that had Chris Barnett not taken that fight against Ben Rothwell last weekend, he would be fighting this upcoming weekend on XFC 44, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But instead, he decided he wanted to make his journey to the big show and step on up to the UFC and come out and dance and have a good old time. Get in there against Ben Rothwell and just spin kick like a big old 270-pound fucking clown. And then guess what? Ben Rothwell don't fuck around, man. He's not here to put on a show. He's not here to have fun. Ben Rothwell's here to kick ass and take names, and his card's just about full, pal. Not only did Rothwell counter the ever-living fuck out of Chris Barnett and just piece him up very fucking nicely, he ended it with a fucking submission because Barnett did not want to stop. So I will give him credit. Barnett's clearly a tough motherfucker, and he can absolutely take a shot because Rothwell landed a couple of fucking bombs on him that I was surprised didn't drop him. But didn't know how to save himself when the fucking grind really got put down, and Big Ben gets that dub, baby. Big Ben gets the dub, and he looked so fucking strong doing it too, man.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention, when fucking Barnett ended up on his back, he looked like a fucking fish out of water, like he'd never been there before. Like he was flopping and shit, and I get it. Ben Rothwell's no joke on the ground either. Look, everybody has always seen him as a big power puncher or big counter guy because he's very good at countering. But he also has a fantastic fucking ground game that's highly underrated. And so I get that, but the way he was flopping made it look like he'd never practiced jiu-jitsu. However, I do want to tip my hat to Chris Barnett because you know what? Taking the fight one, that's fucking fantastic. But also, a fucking spinning kick out of a guy that big, and he made it look really, really good.
Yeah, legitly, he threw two of them that I both times went, oh no. Like, for a man, a full-size heavyweight man to throw so clean, of a spinning wheel kick that was right at fucking face level and could have been real bad if it was aimed better. I will absolutely give him credit for that. Those both look, oh shit, good. And had
That's why I was like, my hat's definitely off to him. He's got the athleticism that it takes to be a heavyweight in the UFC.
sir. Yes, sir.
He just needs to polish himself up a little bit, and I think he could be some problems for some people. But for him, this is a very, in my opinion, a very good learning experience. One, he didn't get knocked out, but goddamn, did he get wore out? Because you could tell he was huffing and puffing by the end of the fucking first.
Yes, he was.
So he's going to have to learn, hey, I do need a better gas tank, or I need to slow myself down a little bit and conserve energy. Like, if you watch the way Ben fought that fight, he was doing a lot of parrying, a lot of dodging, a lot of head movement, which was fucking weird to see head movement out of Ben Rothwell because he's not a head movement guy, which is why he's no longer sitting up at the top of the stack, because he's never been a head movement guy. And there's a lot of guys at the top of the stack who, if you don't move your fucking head, you're going to get fucking cleaned. So, I mean, but yeah, Chris, he's got some potential, but he's got to rein it in a little bit, go sit down back at the drawing board. And to be quite honest, I hope to see him back in the UFC. I hope this isn't a one and done situation. Like, I legitimately liked what I saw out of him. I think a little more polish, and he could put some people in danger up into those numbers categories, to be quite honest. Like, with that type of athleticism out of a guy that big, you don't see that shit coming. Not from somebody like that, because and they weren't, look, these spinning wheel kicks we're talking about, they weren't slow. They were fucking fast, like lightning fast for a guy his size. Like, you look at somebody like that, you're going to go, oh, he's going to take the slow ride around. He's going to go around this roundabout at about fucking 5 miles an hour. No, fucking full send, pedal to the fucking metal. They were impressive. Like, his athleticism definitely had me impressed. I'm going, he definitely has a place here. It's just to get polished up. And Ben, I like this post fight. He said, I know my back's against the wall. I had to win this, and I had to win it in a dominant fashion, and which he did. And he knew. Because look, he'd been on a back and forth. It was a win one, lose one, win one, lose one. He just lost to Tybura prior to this. He beat OSP. So he's been kind of in a weird fucking position. After he came back from that long layoff, he just hasn't been able to fucking get the momentum back again. Hopefully this is the turning point for him where he gets the momentum back again. But also, Ben's getting long in the tooth there too. You gotta think, Ben is 37 or 38 now.
38, he said, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's getting long in the tooth as far as fighting, especially in the heavyweight division, because them boys fucking hit hard.
They got a short shelf life in heavyweight.
Yeah, it's good that he's made it this long at heavyweight. Luckily for him, he was around in the earlier days where people weren't quite as crisp as they are now in heavyweight division. But that's all changed over the last 10, 15 years, which doesn't seem like a lot, but being as this sport is technically still in its infancy, it's jumped leaps and bounds over the last 10 years. So especially for the heavyweight division, like you look at like the flyweights and stuff and all that, those guys have always been crazy and wild and shit like that, but they're small and fast, and that heavyweights have gotten big and fast and do crazy shit now too. Case in point, Chris Barnett, spinning wheel kicks from a guy you would never think you would ever see one from. No, and very nice ones at that. So, but yeah, Ben, hats off to you. Glad to take another W back home to Kenosha so I can start giving people directions to find you again. And, fucking fantastic. And not to mention, I hate to see the guys from Wisconsin lose. It's the home state in me. Even when I don't like them, Macy Barber, I still don't like to see her take a L because she's representing Wisconsin. So, Big Ben, though, on the other hand, that's always been a fan favorite for me coming out of fucking Wisconsin, especially being as he didn't train out of Rufus Sports, which nothing against Duke Rufus, because he can get people to top. He just can't keep them there. But Ben's always been his own guy, run out of his own gym, and he's done fantastic for himself. So you don't have to go to some fancy high-end gym, pay for a high-end coach. As long as you put in the fucking work, you can get there.
Right.
And you have to be a little bit naturally gifted, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think if Barnett literally goes back to the drawing board, takes a deep breath, and fucking resets and comes out the next time focused, maybe 2 fights from now, maybe 3 fights from now, start bringing back your dancing and you're having fun, but just come out and show people what you're fucking capable of for a fight or two before you get back into that zone. Because as strange as it is to say, he really does remind me of a young Mark Henry. That same kind of like confusing athletic ability from a big fucking dude. The type of dude you look at and you're like, that motherfucker can't chase me 3 steps. And then you see him throw a spinning wheel kick at full speed at your fucking nose. And if you'd have taken a step forward, you'd be into next Thursday right now. Like, I think if he comes out and just, get your ass on the grindstone, get the bike going, get some fucking swimming in, get your cardio a little more under control so you can reserve that gas tank a little more. I think his athleticism will carry him a long fucking way. And he's clearly got some technique to go with it. He's really just got to get a little more polished up. And I think he really could be a big fucking issue at heavyweight, man. I really do. That, though, will bring us over into our main card. Honestly, I was not terribly blown away by the opening fight. Not a bad fight by any stretch of the imagination, but kind of exactly what we fucking said was gonna happen. Shabazian came out first round, guns fucking blazing, definitely had control of the fight, but showed enough holes that round 2, Hermansson came out a completely different fucking fighter and was going after every fucking weakness Shabazian had, and then put him on his ass and showed why Hermansson is a fucking boss ass grappler. And then round 3, guess fucking what? He knew what worked and what to avoid, so he did it again and ended up getting a fucking unanimous decision. I've been saying it since this fucking kid got the fucking contract in the UFC. Shabazian has got to get the fuck away from that camp if he wants any hope of being anything serious in the UFC. Edmund will never be able to take him there. Ever fucking ever. He has had a track record time and time again to show that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's the original Josh Fabia, in my opinion. Hermansson, on the other hand, came out and did exactly what we thought he was going to do. He got a little pieced up in round 1 because he's not the best fucking striker, but he is a quick learner and he's got a great fight IQ. So as soon as he started to see Shabazian's leaning on tendencies, he's got habits you can exploit. Round 2, he came out a completely different fucking dude. He knew what to watch for, and he immediately knew if I put him on his ass, he can't do shit about it. So he did. He put him down and he fucking worked him, and he learned that fucking kid. I don't ever see Hermansson being a title contender, really, but I also don't see him dropping or straying very far from the top 10 either. I think he really is another one of those examples of a guy who makes a perfect fucking gatekeeper, because if you can't get past Hermansson, you have no fucking business on a main card. You have no business even being considered for pay-per-views. That dude isn't the greatest in the world, but he will beat the shit out of 8 out of 10 average dudes you throw at him. So I think he's in a good place right now. The win made him look fucking spectacular. He showed off fight IQ, and he showed that Edmund, even though he's only 23, people forget, still has a lot to fucking work on. Yes, he's come a long way in the time that we've seen him, but he's got to get the fuck out of that camp and find some new fucking training partners and a new coach if he ever wants any hope to be something real, in my opinion.
I think the greatest thing about watching that fight, Edmund does what Edmund does in the first round. He's very good at piecing people up on the feet. But the greatest thing about this fight overall was that Edmund, prior to the fight, was saying, my wrestling game's on point. I'll be fine. He's not going to hold me down. He's not going to take me down. In fact, I want to show a little bit of my grappling. Yeah, you showed your fucking grappling. You showed your fucking ass. You had your pants around your ankles, just falling over every time Jack fucking touched you. Look, Jack, hats off to him. I've never been a huge Hermansson fan. I'll say it outright. There's something about the guy that rubs me wrong. I don't know what it is, because he seems like he's generally a nice person. Because every fucking interview I've ever seen him, he's very cordial and all that. But there's something about the dude that just always rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm not sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But Dude, his fight IQ was fucking fantastic. Know how pieced up he got in the first round? Because he got pieced the fuck up in the first round. Like, if it would have stayed like that, he would have been probably knocked out in the second. But that fucking crafty fucking veteran gets in there and goes, all right, this shit ain't working. Sets up a beautiful takedown. That first takedown he got, I was like, yep, that's all she wrote for Edmund. Because I was like, we've seen Edmund's fucking poor grappling skills before. And obviously, they have not been worked on. Or if they have, they don't know what the fuck they're doing to teach. Which I'm probably going
on it.
I'll say he was probably working on it, but the teaching was probably poor. But, you know, who am I to judge that? I can only go off of the fight that I saw, which looked like Edmund looked like a fucking goddamn drunken baby every time he got touched and just fell over. Because it's not like the takedowns that Jack Manson was throwing out there were any fucking thing spectacular. They were just your run-of-the-mill single double legs.
He wasn't even hiding.
Yeah, he wasn't. I didn't see very many high crotches. Like, there was. He didn't try to treetop him. I didn't see anything that fucking went, oh my God, he really tricked him there. No, they were just your run-of-the-mill takedowns that Edmund Shabazian couldn't stop. Apparently, the kid does not know how to fucking sprawl.
No, literally not.
He obviously doesn't know what a whizzer is. Like, it just goes to show that if you're in the wrong camp, it doesn't matter how good your fucking hands are and how naturally gifted you are. Because Edmund is obviously naturally gifted. You can see it. Absolutely. But without the right training, those tools that you have are never going to be sharp enough. And right now, that just proved it, that he needs to find a different fucking camp, or he needs to hire an outside fucking consultant to help with fucking the grappling aspect. Because to be honest, I hope he doesn't train striking until he wins 2 more fights. I hope it's nothing but grappling for the next 2 fights for him, just so that way he has to learn it. In fact, pair that motherfucker with somebody who is a straight fucking wrestler for his next couple fights. Just to see what happens. Make him fucking learn it. Because if you force the kid to learn it, he's going to be a dangerous fucking kid in that division. Because being 23, he's nowhere near his peak. Your peak is between usually 26 and like 32. That's where people generally peak in MMA, where they're at their best. Their body's firing on all cylinders. That kid is barely out of fucking diapers. Fuck, 23 years ago. Let's see, that's 2000 what? Or 2008? Yeah, 2008 it would be. Or no, not 2008. Fucking 1998. One more decade back. I know where I'm going with this. Still, 1998. Look, there were already 3D fucking CGI movies at that point. And he was just being born. This kid was in fucking grade school. He's 6 years old. He would have been in kindergarten. Well, I was sitting in Afghanistan. He is a fucking baby. Like, he's got a long way to go. And to be honest, if he gets the right training and tutelage, he could very well be a title holder in the middleweight division. I can honestly see that out of him because of just what we know of him already. His striking is fucking fabulous. A little more honing there and a lot of fucking carving out, sanding, polishing on his fucking grappling, and we'll get there.
Work. But it's going to take work. But if he puts the work in, he's still young enough, it will show. It
yeah. And the thing with him being that young is, to be honest, he probably won't have to work that hard right now if he starts doing it. Because when you're younger like that, you're more of a sponge than you are as you get older. As you get older, you have to, the try-hard pants have to come way up. Right now, most of that shit, you can kind of fucking sling it at him and it'll stick. Obviously, the people who are slinging at him are slinging the wrong shit.
Yeah.
Or they're slinging straight shit.
Or they're just slinging shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that'll move us up to one of the most entertaining fights of the fucking evening. Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algio. I'm still not 100% convinced that we weren't actually looking at Marab with some facial hair. Ricardo Ramos landed 17 of 19 attempted takedowns in a 3-round fight. Marab's record is 20 of 21. He was at 17 of 19, and it looked like Bill Algio had no idea how to keep his feet on the fucking ground. Because anytime Ricardo Ramos touched him, he was up in the air doing the fucking flying baby thing. Like, he just fucking whoop, whoop, whoop. Anytime he wanted to flip him the fuck around, Ricardo Ramos was like, oh, hey, see that over there? And throwing him that way. It just, he had whatever the fuck, he did whatever the fuck he wanted with him for 15 minutes. And I like Bill Algio, but holy shit, I don't know where he was last weekend because he did not show up on Saturday night. I like Ricardo Ramos, but I do not believe he is as good as the performance that we saw from him. I think Bill Algio had a real bad fucking night, and it just emphasized what Ricardo Ramos is naturally capable of. Not that it was an extraordinary performance, but that's what he normally does. And when Algio had a shit night on top of it, we got to see Ricardo Ramos send him for a fucking ride over and 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 over again. And Algio could not do shit to stop it. That was a hell of a fucking performance there. It really, really was. And I think if Ramos can stay on that trend, if he can stay exuding his fucking confidence and imposing his will like he did to Algio, he's going to start to make a real big splash in that featherweight division real fucking fast, in my opinion. Interesting thing happened on the way to the forum, as they say. The Ramos fight ends. They do the post-fight interview. They go to set up the Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont fight. And before they actually start doing any of the rollouts, they cut to the commentary desk, specifically to the front camera looking down the line of them straight on at Paul Felder. We then got the official announcement that Paul Felder has now retired from MMA. He will stay on, obviously, with commentary, doing desk work, doing some behind the scenes stuff. He is still very much going to be involved in the UFC. But after the last fight, he came to that realization that even if he puts in all the work he is capable of doing at this point, it is not going to be enough to get him to the belt. And he has always been one of those guys that said, when I don't think I'm capable of getting to the belt anymore, it's time for me to be done. And he said that, you know, after a lot of long, hard thinking, which I'm sure was fucking terribly intense on him, he came to the realization that even if he put in the work and even if he did all the training and kept himself ready, that at this point he just doesn't have enough of a spark left in him to do what he knows would be necessary for him to possibly get the belt at this point. And that's when it's time to stop getting punched in the face. I do wish we could have seen him, and he said himself, he wished he would have brought a set of gloves from home so he could have thrown him into the octagon when he said it. I think that would have been really cool to get to see somebody like the Irish Dragon get his chance to go in and lay his gloves down in the octagon one last time after everything that he has done for the sport of mixed martial arts. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever he will be in the UFC Hall of Fame, if not on his own as a fighter, but for any of the numerous incredible fucking back and forth wars that he has been involved in. So again, this is one of those moments that is bittersweet as a fan, because on one hand it fucking sucks, because I guarantee you right now Paul Felder could still get in there and give the fucking business to 9 out of the top 10 fucking lightweights in that division any day of the fucking week. At the same point, this is exactly one of the things that we harp on so fucking much. When you're able to complete sentences and not complete fights, change fucking careers. There's more to your life than your fight contract, and you have to be able to finish that life regardless of what your record was in the ring. Keep your brain, enjoy the rest of your life while you're able to. And that's exactly why Paul Felder is doing what he's doing. He has a daughter, he has a love for triathlons. Neither of those require him to get punched in the face. The commentary gig's not going anywhere. Felder will still be on the desk for us. He will still be analyzing for us. So I wish him nothing but the fucking best. It sucks that we're not going to see him in the cage anymore, but I understand it, and you can't fucking possibly mad at a man like that for making that decision. So good on you, Paul Felder.
I'm so bummed about that. I think more so because if he's really letting the last fight be the thing that determined it, he came in on short notice for that fight.
And looked like a badass on short notice too. God
Yeah,
damn it.
and I was like, all right, short notice. Okay, I get it. RDA is a tough cookie. If he would have had a full training camp, I think he would have easily won that fight. Easily.
I agree.
But coming in on short notice and losing that one, it made it it made me think that there is that put that doubt in his mind, because if I can't do this on short notice, how am I going to do this with a full camp? And I don't know if that's necessarily the right mindset. However,
it's understandable.
It is understandable, because I mean, you look at in a young career, yeah, you're always taking fights on short notice when you're young into your career and things like that. Where he was at in his career, he could have easily turned that fight down, but he did it to save a fucking card.
Yeah, 12 years into your fucking UFC career, you don't have to take last minute fights anymore if you don't fucking want to.
He could have easily said, you know what? Nope, fuck this card. But I'm sure there was a dump truck full of money, and Dana fucking got on his knees and fucking begged him.
Well, that, and you know, Paul Felder loved to fucking fight. That's what made him so fucking great, in my opinion. It wasn't his skills, which he had. It wasn't his fucking heart, which he had. It's that he genuinely loved fighting. And those kind of guys are few and far between. Those Paul Felder, those Cowboy Cerrone dudes, they're not doing this for the fucking paycheck. They're not doing this just to put on the show. They love being in a fight, and you could fucking see that every time Felder got in.
Yep. I mean, not to mention, the dude had some of the greatest fucking fights that are out there. Like, if you want to get somebody who's never watched MMA or never been a fan of MMA to actually enjoy MMA, just go pull the Paul Felder fight library. Start watching those fights with him, because that's a good one to fucking get him going with. The dude always put on a show, and he would, no matter what the case was, he was going out on his shield if he was going out. There was no fucking quitting that.
Talk about that. He was allergic to boring fights. He just couldn't have one. He would break out in punches.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've got multiple feelings about that. Like, I'm super bummed that he retired. Like, fucking miserably bummed, because I'm going to miss watching him fight. And the selfish me is saying, you know what? Fuck your retirement. Get back in there. Quit being pussy. But the side of me that knows this sport goes, my hat is fucking off to you for knowing the time to quit, even if it may have been clouded in a weird last fight. And I say weird, not that it was weird, because he went out and fought his ass off, but weird as in you took it on short notice, so you weren't ready. The only training you had been doing prior to that was actually for a triathlon, not for a fight. So there's a difference between fight shape and triathlon shape. And so, I mean, I get it. I'm not mad at him. I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed in him. I just want to make that very clear. Right. Paul Felder, if you ever see this, I'm not disappointed in you at all. I'm just disappointed because I'm selfish fucking prick, and I want to see you fight again.
Ironically, though, the selfish prick in me immediately looked to find a silver lining in this situation. And now that Paul Felder has officially retired from MMA because he said he likes triathlons. He likes the workout without the punch in the face. And that's basically what a triathlon is for him. That he's going to take on the triathlons like he would fights and try and get into that. But with him no longer having to concern himself with getting punched in the face. And then just last week, we also got the release from a UFC contract of one Dan Hardy, right around the same age, right around the same experience level, right around the same weight class, both looking to stay active without getting necessarily punched in the face. That now opens up the opportunity for Submission Underground to do what they just did with Jake Ellenberger and Carlos Condit and give us the Paul Felder, Dan Hardy submission only match that could keep both of them in the mix and be spectacular for both of them, regardless of how it comes out.
Ooh, I like that. Or maybe they decide to become tag team partners.
Even better. I'm saying, Chael, get your fucking checkbook, because
no shit. Oh, every time I hear somebody say Chael, get your checkbook, I immediately am drawn to him and John Jones back and forth this fucking week of I got you 5,000.
I got your 5,000. Yeah, come back to Submission Underground. I got your 5,000 right here. No, I will say much like most of the rest of the MMA journalism community that has been following the shenanigans that were Chael Sonnen and John Jones back and forth over Twitter over the weekend, am very curious to see what exactly it is that John Jones is about to give birth to. You don't get that joke, go look at Twitter for the weekend and you will laugh hilariously.
Yeah, go. Hell, you can, and if you really don't want to look at Twitter, there's plenty of other news outlets that already have it posted. So feel free to go look them up.
Yeah, it was a hell of a weekend for Twitter war. I'll say that much.
Dude, I laughed my ass off with that one. But no,
have.
Back to Paul Felder though. Ball shining this your way, man. I appreciate everything you've done for the sport, and to be quite honest, there's nothing that I can say that would actually give you the proper gratitude that I would like to give. To be honest, you've entertained me way more times than fucking is completely necessary. And you've always been fucking humble in both victory and defeat. And to be quite honest, you're the kind of person I like having at the desk. Not to mention, besides the fact that you're very well educated with how you speak about this, your fight IQ is fucking amazing, and you're the kind of person that we want representing our sport. So
that's what I was just going to say. He is the type of guy we want as a representative for MMA, not just the UFC, but as a whole, MMA, the sport. That's a fucking guy you can point to and go, that's what MMA is.
Yep,
that's what MMA is.
He's that flagship that you put out front that says, hey, this is what we're aspiring to be. And then you have all these shitbags in the back that are trying to get to this level. And some of them that'll never get there, aka the Sean O'Malley's. But anyhow, yeah. Fucking hats off to you, man. What a fantastic fucking career.
Yeah, no shit.
I wish you well in your retirement. I know you're not really gonna you'll be retired from this, but you're gonna be fucking busting your ass somewhere else because he's literally allergic to anything boring. Thus let me go do fucking triathlons. It's not a boring sport. Look, it might be boring to watch on TV, but for the fucking athlete,
retire and then go do triathlons for the rest of their fucking life. Not many. He's a fucking rare breed for sure.
Yeah, he's a fucking special one, that's for sure. And he'll be sadly missed, to be quite honest.
Agreed. But what will not be sadly missed was the Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont fight. Felicia Spencer did not look terrible, but she did not look as good as we have seen her either. Norma Dumont, on the other hand, just looked like she was taking this as a sparring session. She wasn't really going too hard at it, but she was staying active. She kept moving and she stayed busy the entire fight. Made Felicia Spencer swing at air a couple of times, and I think that's really what ended up in the long run giving her the advantage that got her the decision. The weird thing is that it was a win by split decision, and all three judges had it scored different. So another one of those examples of even if the fight was clear to see where the winner was, the judges are still having fucking issues everywhere. So there was that. But that brought us into one of the most exciting back and forths of the evening in Justin Tafa versus Jared Vanderaa. Ironically, Justin Tafa kind of looked like shit. He was in there, but he couldn't land a punch. He couldn't dodge a punch. But overall, I still felt like he did enough that should have been worst case scenario split decision. Best case scenario, I saw that as a 29-28 for Tafa. The judges gave it a unanimous decision, Jared Vanderaa, and one of them had it 30-27 for Jared Vanderaa. So another literal back-to-back example of what the fuck are these judges actually watching, because it's not the same fights that are taking place in front of them.
Well, this was a good fight up until there was a certain point where I was watching this and I went, this is really good. And then all of a sudden it looked like I don't know what shot it was that hit Tafa, but he went from looking very measured and very fucking on point to looking pissed off and starting to swing a little wildly, which really fucked him. Like in my eyes watching that fight, I saw him winning the first round, and then it was sometime in the second where there was something that hit him where you just watched it go from I'm good to now I'm pissed off and lost all focus, all measurement. Like
Right.
it didn't seem like he was using any of his training at that point. He was just in a fucking looking for a brawl, which I get. I know who you've trained with. I
was
get
going to
that.
say that when you see where he comes from, it's certainly understandable. It's not the best idea, but it's understandable.
Yeah, I get that, but I was like, he looked so much better up until that point. So I can see where the judges gave it to fucking Vanderaa. Because Vanderaa stayed on point, doing the same thing the whole fight. He didn't skew too far off from anything. Like he was doing what he needed to do to win rounds. Like I don't think he won the first round. Whoever that fucking dumb fucking judge was that gave him the first round needs to be punched in the fucking throat. But I could have seen it as a split decision easily, but on the other side of that, I'm not mad at the unanimous decision either. To be quite honest, myself, I saw it as a 29-28 for Jared there. There was that point where I watched Justin, like his, or fucking not, yeah, fucking watch Justin flip his shit, and he seemed to go downhill from there. It's not that he wasn't still producing, he was still producing, he just wasn't producing well.
Right.
Like I saw a lot of fucking swinging at air and shit like that, and I was like, that's not generally the Justin Tafa we see.
Right.
It
definitely looked out of character. I agree.
So I don't know if there was something that was said while they were fighting that pissed him off, or if it was a shot that got him. It could have been one of the two, but something changed his demeanor and then changed the way that he was fighting, which, to be quite honest, in my opinion, that's what cost him the fight. Was it a 30-27? Fuck no. That fight was way closer than 30-27. It was not a landslide victory by any means, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Tafa still had the power throughout the entire fight to end it with any of those wild fucking haymakers that he was throwing.
Yeah, if he would have thrown a little more accurately and not swung so fucking wild, exactly, he definitely could have.
Like there was after the first round, I don't think he swung one punch straight down the pipe. Everything was fucking from way outside or weird looping fucking overhands. I'm going, dude, it's not going to get it done. Not when you've got a guy that's taller than you and longer than you. You need to go straight down the pipe. But then again, hats off to Jared. He did everything he needed to do in order to win the fight. Now, was it a beautiful win? Did it deserve the fucking people's co-main event spot? I don't think so. To be quite honest, I would have much rather seen the Hermanson and Edmund Shabazian fight in the fucking co-main events or the
Yeah,
people's co-main event. You know,
agreed. The good news about that being done, though, is that brought us into a very interesting co-main event. I'm not going to say it was very good, but it was very interesting. We learned a whole lot. I will say that in the co-main event. The two main things that we learned are Yan Zhaonan has zero ground game, possibly even negative ground game, because she looked worse on her back than Chris Barnett did. And that was kind of hard to do because he was quite literally flailing his arms and legs like a defunct turtle. Um, but Carla, the other thing we learned is that Carla very much is a wrestling ass bitch. I don't care what else you say about her. You cannot deny that Carla Esparza is a wrestling ass bitch. Um, the problem was we didn't see a whole lot of actual wrestling here. She threw Yan onto the ground when she wanted to, but then for the most part, she just wet blanketed on top of her and kind of just sapped her and wore her out without really doing a whole lot, with the exception of the second round when she put her down for the final time, the sequence that actually started the end of the fight, where she put her down and almost had her in a full on crucifix and then was just beating the shit out of her with no fucking answer from Yao Nan at all. Um, the problem for me is that she did exactly what we talked about she was going to do if she won. She went out, she won in dominant fashion, and then immediately said, I think me and Rose need to run that back. Props on a win, on a dominant win at that. She definitely showed that Yao Nan has no fucking ground game, and Carla very much still does. But I don't think there's any reason at this point to force that Carla Esparza Rose Namajunas run back. I get that Carla Esparza was the first straw weight and that she got it by beating Rose and that there is a story there. I get that. But I also don't think fighting number 4 and seeing that there was no ground fight there at all and she literally kind of got to autopilot her way through that fight, I don't think that earns you a title shot, or it shouldn't, in my opinion.
you know, that fight showed me the same thing I already knew going into it. Like, look, you guys know I wasn't here last week Thursday, so I didn't get to talk about this. But going into that fight, I knew one of two things was going to happen. Either Jean was going to keep it on the feet, or Carla Esparza, which I thought was way more likely, was going to end up putting her on her back. Because, look, love her or hate her, or it be indifferent, Carla Esparza's wrestling in the fucking women's strawweight division is probably the best wrestler in that fucking division, period.
Yeah, it's legit as shit, man.
Like, she's legitimately a fucking badass when it comes to wrestling in the women's strawweight division. I don't think there's a better wrestler than her out there. So I kind of had the feeling we were going to see the wet blanket in the at least the first round, which I'm not mad about because of this reason. I have a feeling that was part of the game plan to take some of the pep out of Yan. Because without that, Yan could have pieced her up on the feet.
Yeah.
But when you saw her come out into the second round, she was visibly way more tired than she was when she fucking first came out.
Often, man. Fuck.
And the other thing that this shows, we're seeing a lot of these fighters like Jianan get pushed all the way to the top of the division from having big fucking wins out there by stopping people or having a great set of striking and all of that. But I think the biggest thing that it shows me is that those fucking fighters that get pushed up like that and pushed to the top and shown, oh, these are the guys next in our division that we need to watch out for. They have holes. They have massive holes. And this is the biggest problem I have when I think of things like the Contender Series. They push fighters like this up very quickly because Well, how many fights is Yan had in the fucking UFC? What, three? I think 3, 4. And she's already way at the fucking top. Or no, I take that back. I was wrong. It was 6. But still, the fight she's winning, she's outstriking the piss out of people on the feet.
Yeah.
We have not yet seen a fight where she's had anybody who can put her on the ground. So this is another one of those. Yeah, you're still too new. You're obviously green. Don't get me wrong. You've got a good record. It looks great because you've took off some fucking names. I mean, we've seen her beat fucking good Claudia Gadelia, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I mean, so she's got some names. She beat the boss's daughter, fucking Angela Hill, because that's all I call her now. But none of those girls have fucking wrestling prowess like Esparza does, or has a ground game like she does. So this is just another case of let's shove somebody at the top of the pile because they've won a bunch of decisions by outstriking the ever living piss out of somebody. And I say decisions, I mean fucking decisions. She has not finished one fight in the UFC. Not fucking one. And yet ranked number 3.
Well, that's not true. They actually talked about this today on MMA Fighting. That's the only reason I know that. Carla Esparza has finished 2 fights in the UFC.
I'm not talking about Carla.
Oh, I was talking about Carla.
I was talking about Jeanette.
Carla has only finished 2. This was Carla's second finish in the UFC. Yan Xiaonan and Rose Namajunas to get the belt. This was the first time she has had a stoppage since she won the fucking belt from Rose.
Yeah, and that was how long ago? But still, my thought is on this: there's plenty of girls in the strawweight division that are finishing people and doing a much more fantastic job, or making their fights look way more dominant than what Jeanette is. To be quite honest, I think she got pushed to the top of the pile way quicker than need be. But then again, the strawweight division is starting to get a little light. And I hate to say that, but I still think Jeanette got to the top of the pile way too quick before she was actually tested by somebody who actually has something other than striking. Because you look at the list of fighters that she fought, most of them are strikers. Don't get me wrong. Oh, this is going to hurt, and it's going to taste bad when this comes out. But Hill is an okay wrestler. But mainly she likes to stand and bang. And I say, okay, yeah, that fucking hurt. It burned a little bit. But that's the toughest fucking grappler that they put her against. The toughest fucking grappler. Because Carolina, not a grappler, striker. Claudia Gadelia, she might be Brazilian, but her fucking ground game's not that great. She's more of a striker.
She can wrestle, but she's not a wrestler by any stretch.
Yeah, so I'm just saying this is the first time she's actually been tested in waters that are uncharted for her in a fucking high level setting. So all this did was show Yan has been weighed, measured, and found lacking. So now we know if she gets her act together and works on that shit, she could be a lot better. All that shows for Carla is Carla hasn't changed. Still the same fucking grappler. And I'm not mad about that. Do what fucking works. If it wins you fights, girl, pad your wallet, do it. You do you, boo-boo. But to call for a fucking title shot and then dumb Dana agreeing, thinking, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, to be fair, Dana did clarify on ESPN on Tuesday. He said that the only clear options, in his opinion, in that division are either Carla versus Rose or Rose getting the immediate rematch against Wei Li, since that went so crazy. So, I mean, in my opinion, realistically, neither one of them makes sense. Rose head kicked fucking Wei Li in fucking 40 seconds or whatever. And Carla beat Rose 9 years ago or whatever the fuck it was when Rose still had hair and wasn't serious yet. So neither one of those really warrant the fight, in my opinion. But if we have to pick between the two, honestly, I'd rather see Wei Li get the run back other than over Carla.
Yeah, it's a weird fucking situation with that because I mean, let's look at it this way: you've got in the right now top four, or top four in that fucking strawweight division. Got Rose leading their horse. Wiley, she's number one contender now because that's how that always works. You lose the fight and lose the belt, you become number one contender. They still have Joanna as fucking number two. Now, Carla Esparza moves up a spot to number three, and Yan Jonan drops to four. Really? He's right. Those are, to be quite honest, the only two fights that make sense if you're going to actually pull somebody for a title shot. It's got to be Carla Esparza or a rematch with Wiley. However, I don't like the idea of the Wiley rematch. I say make her fight fucking Joanna again.
That's
Winner of
that's exactly the way I see it. I think realistically, if you want to play this fucking rematch game, the one that's sitting out there waiting that makes sense is Joanna versus Wei Li too. Winner
Yep.
gets Carla. Winner of that gets the next shot.
But I'll even say, look, I'll go this far. I'll say winner of Wiley, Joanna 2 gets fucking title shot. Carla needs to sit her ass and wait.
I wouldn't be mad at that either. I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Like I don't see that. Like even fucking, I'll go this far. Even you can go to number 5. Mariana Rodriguez deserves a shot more than any of these girls right now, and she doesn't deserve it.
Well, and the other problem is that the only other real option that they could make would be Joanna versus Carla. What would that be? Joanna versus Carla 4? 3? They've already fought 3 times, I think, twice or 3 times.
Yeah, well, and that's where
Nobody,
they're having the problem right now is because Joanna's fought fucking
everybody.
Rose twice, lost twice. She's lost to Wiley. I mean, what does it prove if she beats Carla again? Nothing.
Right? Not damn thing to me. I agree.
No. So it is a weird spot. So I guess I could for a long stretch I can see Carla getting her shot at it, but she's gonna get beat because
Yeah,
Rose is fucking evolved way more than fucking anybody else. But
Rose is on a whole nother level from that whole division. Like Rose is the Valentina of strawweight.
I mean,
aside from that fucking fluke of a should have been illegal fucking neck slam from Andrade, nobody has had anything to speak of against Rose for
I can't
years.
call it illegal. Look, I'm on that weird boat that I don't call it an illegal slam because you know what? Rose could have let go of that fucking Kimura and saved her own
No,
neck.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well. But I just think that the placement of the slam has been called in other fights that were way less important in the same placement. I think this should have been one of those. If you're going to be consistent, be consistent. You know
Well, it's okay to be consistent, but when a fighter puts themselves in that position by choosing to not relinquish a
Right.
fucking grappling hold, that's
Yeah.
their own goddamn fault. Now, some of those other ones where we've seen the spikes where they're not holding on to anything, yeah, call that shit.
Yeah, no, I
So,
agree. Rose does bear some accountability because she could have and should have fucking let go. But
yeah.
aside from that slam, I'm saying nobody has had shit. Even Andrade in the second fucking fight, nobody has had shit
Oh, yeah.
for Rose aside from that one slam in years now. So,
Well, anybody who watched Rose when she came back and fought Andrade right away knew once that fight was over that there was not a doubt in the mind that you were going to finally see a woman become champ again after losing the belt for the first time. That's the first time that's happened in a women's division. It's happened in the men's divisions before, but never in the women's. So Rose is on a different level. That's all there is to it. And not to mention she's got her fucking head right now, and it's bad juju at the top of that. And to be quite honest, as much as I hate to say it, that fucking division is getting very stagnant.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, they're trying to push fucking Mackenzie Dern up there, but that failed miserably because I mean,
that didn't work out.
I think just took.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how that division shakes out here in the next I'm saying probably in the next month we'll have a better idea of what they're actually looking at fight-wise based on who's willing to take who and how it actually starts to shake into place here pretty soon. But I'm saying probably a month before we get a better idea, really.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I think, in my own opinion, I think it's time for Rodriguez in that division to get a shot at one of those top 5 girls. And when I say top 5, I probably mean top 3. Give her one of the top 3 girls.
I was
And
actually thinking give her Jan. After that loss, she's solid at 4 right now. Let Marina take a stab at it. If she beats Jan the way Carla just did, maybe fucking Carla versus Marina to determine the next runner-up after the fucking Wiley and Joanna situation is sorted, you know?
that would make sense to me. That fuck, because Rodriguez looked like a fucking beast against Watterson. So I'm just saying she's got some potential there. Do I think she's to the level of Rose? Not a chance in hell. But stranger things have fucking happened. But I still don't see her beating fucking Rose. It just, that division is so fucking weird right now because it's been the same fucking 4 ladies at the top. The only thing that would throw this into a tiffle a little bit is if Andrade decided to make her way back over to strawweight and try to cut 40 fucking pounds again.
Right.
Or 50, or when she fights at fucking strawweight, she's the cyborg of 145.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
Yeah, that would be the only thing that would mix that up a little bit, and even that's not a mix-up because she's been at the top there.
Even then, you know where she sits in that. Right?
Yeah, so. I mean, right now, considering she's sitting in the flyweight category, to be quite honest, the only other fight that would make sense for like fucking Rose right now, and I'm sure she doesn't even want to do that, would be to go up a weight class to flyweight and fight Valentina.
Right.
But other than that, there's not another fight that makes sense for her because Rose is fucking, well, she's Thug Rose for a reason. I'm just saying, it's a weird fucking division. It's such a weird division right now. Like, to be honest, I hope they find, I really do, because I like that division. I hope they find some new blood in there that really fucking amplifies it and gets it going. And I don't want to see we got to get Mackenzie Dern type in there. No, look, I don't care how pretty the broad is. I want to see how good she can fight. Not that she's just a good grappler. A good grappler doesn't fucking do it for me anymore. Look, there was a day long, long ago when you could wear a gi that a grappler fucking was exciting to me. Now, I'm like, holy shit, he's got a great counter game, but he's got no fucking hands.
Yep.
I mean, they just need something to, because, let me do this real quick. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so in this women's strawweight division, the only names that pop out that haven't been here for quite some time, Jandiroba, who just lost the fight. Tisha Torres has been around a long time. Nina has been around a long time. Mackenzie Dern, Mariana Rodriguez, and Yan Xiaonan. They're the only ones who have really been. Oh, and Amanda Lemos. That's it. The rest of that division that is in the top 15, all been around a long time. Felice Herring, fucking Angela Hill's been here a long time. Amanda Hebes, Tisha Torres, Watterson, Gedalia, Nina, fucking Esparza, Joanna. They've all been there a really long time. And I forgot to mention Wiley, but I was trying to nix out that top 5. But for the most part, that fucking division is stagnant with people who have been here in the UFC since the strawweight induction, basically.
That's what I'm saying. Most of them have been there since the division was inducted. Yeah, since Carla beat Rose for the fucking inaugural title.
Yeah, so that was what? What are we? That was 2015. 15. So yeah, they've been here 6-7 years now.
6 years, almost 7 years now.
Yeah, most of them, the rest of them are still fucking wet behind the ears as far as I'm concerned. coming in. So there's got to be some sort of fucking injection of life into this. To be quite honest, with the Ultimate Fighter coming back, I'm hoping maybe that they do another women's strawweight fucking run on the Ultimate Fighter, because
Wouldn't be
that way that
crazy.
could inject some new life into there, or at least give us an ample idea of what's actually out there. Is there anything better? Or is it just that there's not that many strawweight fighters out there right now? And I'm sure there are. It's just the UFC isn't actively looking for them because women's strawweight doesn't sell tickets. Yes, it fucking does, man. Look at the fights that you've had at the top already. Look, one of the greatest fights of all time. I'll say it: the Wiley Zhang Joanna Jacek fight. One of the greatest fights of all time, men or women. So they can do a draw, but man, they need to pull in some more talent, because this stagnancy and us having to try to make reasons on why a championship fight would make sense is such a pain in the dick. Like, because watching the same two fighters fight over and over and over and over and over again, that's a fucking hard thing to do. It's not a. Don't get me wrong, the fights are still interesting, but they're not. They don't breathe any life into the actual division, is what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't breathe new life into it going, oh my God, we just saw these two fight and they just fought fucking 6 years ago. This is going to bring so much new light into the division. No, it doesn't. Even if on the long shot, Carla Esparza won, that doesn't bring new life into the division. It's the same shit, just rearranged.
That was one of the great examples that I did hear this afternoon. Somebody talking about, if they insist, if Dana is not going to hear any other fucking options but Carlo versus Rose again, the only real way, excuse me, that would make logical sense, that it would put a nice little bow on it, other than being another fucking rematch, would be to literally bring it full circle. These two fought for the inaugural straw weight title on an Ultimate Fighter finale. So let them coach the next season of Ultimate Fighter after Volkanovski and Ortega do it, which is to bring it back into vitality. So once they're done and they fight and it's back to prominence again, you immediately follow it right up, strike while the iron's hot. Let Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas coach the next season and let them coach the next round of ladies strawweights, that whoever wins that will be coming with them to the UFC. And then at the end of it, you let them fight in a full come circle moment on the Ultimate Fighter finale for the strawweight title that they initially fought for the inaugural version of.
Fuck yes. I am completely down with that. To include those two fucking coaches should be fighting on the card of the Ultimate Fighter finale. I don't care what fight it is. If it's title fight, guess what? That title fight should be on that same Ultimate Fighter finale as the main event. Co-main event should be your guys fighting for the fucking $100,000 or whatever they're giving them now in your fucking 3-fight or 5-fight contract or whatever.
Yeah. I completely fucking agree. I think that would make great fucking sense if that's how they're going to insist on going forward with it.
And to be quite honest, that's one I would tune in for, because just the history behind it is good.
Yeah. Knowing what all is weighing in on this fucking season potentially, that'd be shit people would watch.
Yeah, I'd watch it just purely for the history part of it, because we know what happened in the first one, how it came to fruition. Yep. But just knowing the history right now and just saying, oh, we're going to make this fight because of the history, doesn't interest me a bit.
Same.
But it definitely interests me if you want to put them up as coaches, though. Let's do that, because that's something I can get behind.
I would absolutely be in for that.
Then, you know what, that, not to mention, that would hype that fight so much fucking more.
Right? And especially because we already know that Volkanovski Ortega is going to be a good fight. But now that they locked him in and they're doing Ultimate Fighter, it comes out starts next week. Yep. We know that they're going to do it the way that they used to do it, where, you know, you're running down, you want your chance to get in the UFC, you got to survive the fucking house, and then, you know, you got the coaches challenge in there to win you some fucking cash, and then at the end, the coaches are fucking fighting. So they're literally revitalizing what made the Ultimate Fighter so fucking popular in the beginning, And if you want to follow that up and strike while that iron's hot, there's your fucking way to do it.
No shit. And to be quite honest, I'm hoping there's some changes in the way they did things on it, but we'll find out once it comes out next week, because that's definitely something I'll be watching, because that right there is worth a watch, just because we've been begging for that to come back. Because to be quite honest, 99% of us who are avid fans I will say it, hate the Contender Series. The Contender Series is fucking bullshit. Anybody who considers themselves a true fan of this and who's been around long enough shouldn't like the Contender Series. Look, I like the idea of it, but the way it is done is fucking terrible.
I said it before, and I'll say it again because I think it bears repeating. I would have zero issues with the Contender Series if winning your fight in the Contender Series meant that you secured yourself a spot in the house for the Ultimate Fighter. Winning a fight on the Contender Series should in no fucking universe get you an automatic UFC contract. When there are guys who are willing to go through 3 months in that fucking house, fighting 6 fucking times, staying on weight for 2 months just to get their contract, you beating some other fucking soup can who's never had to fucking worry about shit this heavy in his life shouldn't get you that fucking contract, in my opinion.
Nope, not at all. And fuck, even looking at it like that, if they were smart, that would be a great segue into every new Ultimate Fighter season. You can go, all right, here's the prequel lead up to the Ultimate Fighter. We're going to do the Contender Series. As soon as the Contender Series cuts, you got a 4 or 6 week break or whatever, and the Ultimate Fighter takes over. And all of these guys you watched on the Contender Series, you're going to know who they are vaguely, but you're going to learn a lot more about them and get more fights out of them. But God forbid you sell something to keep people entertained all year long. Because look, I've tried and I've tried again on more than one occasion to try to fucking swallow down the spike-filled ball that is the fucking Contender Series. Like, it hurts your throat just to fucking think about it. Trying to swallow that fucking pill. Like, that's some terrible medicine. Don't get me wrong. There's been some good things to come out of the Contender Series, but very few. I mean, Super Sadiq, that's my favorite guy to come out of there. Now, on the other side of that,
my favorite, but you also can't forget 50K Ige.
Yep, Ige came out of there. Now,
that's my other one. That's my two.
The other one that I was going to mention is not really a problem right now until he gets hands, but Mini Ben Askren. He came off the Contender Series.
Yeah, he put some boxing together. He's definitely going to be a big fucking problem for sure.
Because he's got, to be quite honest, I'll say it right now, I think he's got the nastiest jiu-jitsu in all of fucking the UFC right now.
I think him and Sandhagen are it.
Yeah, to be honest, I think he'd be better off over at Submission Underground, but what do I know? Right. No, yeah. Fucking things are weird right now.
Right. No shit. But speaking of things are weird right now, the main event. Sometimes, and I said this last week, sometimes it's actually more personally frustrating to be right when you didn't want to be than it is to call something you think should happen and have it be wrong. This ain't one of those moments. I fucking said it last week and I stand by it this week. Cody Garbrandt's best days are behind him. The best Cody Garbrandt we ever would have seen, we have. And I think it was in that Dominic Cruz fight. I think the best Cody Garbrandt had to offer, I think we saw in his showboaty fight against Dominic Cruz. And I think since then, that chin has been clipped so many times that even when he's trying to be cocky, in the back of his mind, he knows, because Rob Font came in. Whereas Cody Garbrandt's uncle, we talked about this last week, Cody Garbrandt's uncle is a Golden Gloves world-class fucking boxer. And that has been the guy to single-handedly bring Cody into the world of striking and tune him his entire career. And Cody has had decent fucking hands because of it. So to see Cody come into a fight where he should be the dominant striker, and then Rob Font absolutely pieced him the fuck up from start to fucking finish. 25 minutes of smooth countering and an unstoppable left jab against a guy who's supposed to be a power striker, who's supposed to be a knockout artist, a headhunter. That dude got pieced the fuck up by your quote unquote run of the mill New England Mafia member. And Rob Font came out and put on a striking fucking clinic against Cody Garbrandt. There were several times where I was legit wondering if Cody was going to be able to recover because Rob hit him with something and you saw him stanky leg, but Rob wasn't and still isn't the type to jump on and go for a finish and risk it like that. He'd rather stand up and keep piecing you the fuck up, as he demonstrated for 25 goddamn minutes against Cody this last weekend. My only real problem with that fight is that Rob Font came out in his post-fight interview and said that after piecing up Cody like that, the only thing that makes sense next is for Rob Font to fight Peter Yan while Aljamain Sterling heals from the surgery that he insisted on getting so he doesn't have to fight again for the entire rest of the fucking year. It's not that I don't think Rob should get a shot, but if we're jumping that line, we've got to wait and see what happens with Corey Sandhagen and TJ. Not that I think TJ deserves it, but Corey Sandhagen, in my opinion, should be where Aljamain Sterling is right now. If it wasn't for one little mistake in that match, we would be seeing Corey Sandhagen versus Petr Yan for the title instead of what we saw in Aljamain versus Petr Yan. So I think for Rob Font to jump all the way up to be the next guy after beating a number 4 Cody, I think it's just a little bit too much of a reach. He did beat the shit out of Cody, and I giggled the whole fucking time it happened. But I think he just cements himself behind whoever wins between TJ and Corey Sandhagen as the next guy up. I think if he wants to fight the winner of that fight, that would be a good match for him, but I don't think he can jump over that fight and just be the next guy while Algio's out right now. I just think that makes a little too little sense for me, rather.
There was only one thing about that fight that surprised me, to be quite honest. I knew Rob Font was going to win. Look, I'll say it. I'm that weird motherfucker that's been a Cody Garbrandt fan. I did like him. I'm that guy. I'm that weird motherfucker. But I think part of that was, I won't say done an error on my part. Part of that was what he put forth on his way to getting to the title.
That's understandable.
So that made me a fan. Not to mention, once he won the title, what he did with that little fucking kid with cancer, that fucking made my entire fucking year.
That was pretty cool. I will
that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in any post-fight in any fucking UFC fight, period. And that was fantastic.
I do try and make a point. I give credit where credit is due, regardless of how I feel about someone. I think Cody Garbrandt's a piece of dog shit, but that was one of the coolest fucking things we have seen a UFC fighter do in a long goddamn time, and I will absolutely give him fucking credit for that.
Thing with that is, Rob Font, I knew he was going to come in and fucking work him. But what surprised me the fucking most is that Cody didn't get knocked out.
Likewise.
And he got hit with some fucking bombs, some absolute shithouse bricks. And credit to Rob on this for not running in, because after watching what fucking Cody did to Sunshao with fucking one punch, smart man, because he could have easily have done the same thing to Rob. Very easily. The kid's got fucking power. I'll give him that. But I'm more surprised that he didn't go to sleep, which tells me I don't think his chin is as bad as we might have thought it was. It's still bad.
Right.
But it's not as bad as I think we thought it was. It's not fucking... It's not immediately touch, go, night-night, which I really thought it was after taking 2 fucking knockouts from juiced fucking TJ. And then another one following that up was fucking, was it, goddamn, who was that even? Fuck.
Pedro.
Oh, yeah, Pedro, yeah.
Pedro dropped him, and then he dropped the Sun Xiao afterwards.
Yeah, and that was a weird fucking turn of events there, but still, I'm more pissed at the 2 that he lost to TJ, and not because of TJ wasn't the better guy. TJ was obviously the better guy that day, but TJ was also juiced out of his fucking mind. Whether or not anybody wants to admit to that or not, we all fucking know it after everything that came out.
Yeah, everybody basically knew once we had seen through TJ's bullshit. It's pretty fucking evident if you go back and look that he was, especially when he knocked him out, and then you see the fucking scream and TJ's traps have traps.
Yeah,
you're like, it's a little much.
Yeah, so I was more pissed at those. So I really think that really fucked his chin there. Because look, look at every fighter who's had to fight somebody who's juiced. The biggest one I can say that ended up fighting so many fucking juice heads is one of my favorite knockout artists of all time. The one hitter quitter, Mark Hunt. That dude fought every juice head in the fucking world.
Yes, he did.
But he paid the price for it.
And fought him clean, too.
Yeah, he was never a juice head.
That, in my opinion, that was one of Mark Hunt's biggest claim to fame. It wasn't his one-punch fucking shots. It wasn't his walk-off KOs. It's the fact that he knew going in, he was going to take on dudes who were juiced to the absolute tits. And he did it 100% natural and was not the least bit fucking worried about it.
And to be honest, I think that fucked his career for the long run because he took a lot of damage from those juice heads. If he was fighting guys that weren't juiced, those guys wouldn't have fucking been anywhere near as good. Don't get me wrong. There are some fighters that, not even being juiced, are fucking gnarly in his division. Like, you could look at that Brock Lesnar before he was juiced, and he still would have gave fucking Hunt a big run for his money just because of his natural athleticism. But that one in particular, that was what, UFC 100, right? Or no, that was UFC 200. Yeah, and they knew he was juiced going into the fight. Like, the fucking tests were back already. They just held it off until after the fight. So seeing shit like the TJ Cody thing play out, and Cody get his ass whipped. Look, he got his ass whipped, but come to find out, TJ was juiced the whole time, and that in my opinion, that fucked Cody's chin. I really did. Getting hit by somebody who's juiced, way different than somebody who's fighting clean. Don't get me wrong. There are the clean fighters out there that can definitely fuck your chin up permanently. But I don't think TJ was one of those guys until he was juiced. Like, if you go back and look at all his other fights, he wasn't doing that kind of damage to people prior to. Right. You could kind of tell where that juicing started to happen. All of a sudden, there was this, where the fuck did this guy come from minute? Which we should have been able to put 2 and 2 together, but
TJ was always quick, but there came a point where he was quick and had just power for no reason when he normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, it was a weird thing.
I absolutely agree. I think that did definitely play a part in Cody's chin for sure.
Bringing it full circle here, to be quite honest, I was impressed with Cody's chin during the fight, purely because he didn't go out. Like, I don't know what happened between those last 3 fights and then his Sun Xiao knockout and then this fight, but apparently maybe that extra time of not getting knocked out may have held up that chin a little bit. That's the only logical explanation I can come up with to why Rob Font didn't knock him out during that fight, because the amount of damage that TJ took, or fucking not TJ, but fucking Cody took, was fucking crazy. Yeah. Like any other normal human being, I think would have been fucking done. I don't think there's many other fighters in that division that could have taken that amount of damage and stayed with it the whole time.
Yeah, no.
That's always that was the one thing that surprised me the most. I didn't think Cody was going to win unless he did get the knockout. That was the one way I saw him winning that fight.
Unless he clipped him, yeah.
Yeah, and he very well could have, because I mean, obviously the dude's got fucking walk-off power.
He hits fucking hard, man. There's no denying that. Cody
And
hits hard.
he hits hard. And the other thing I'll give him, he fights clean. We've never seen him pop hot ever. Even with all of the knockouts that he's had so far, never popped hot. So the dude does it. He does it legitimate and has legitimate knockout power. But Rob Font is on a different level right now. To be quite honest, the fight I would really like to see, I would love to see him and Corey Sandhagen go at it, depending on how, of course, Corey Sandhagen's fight plays out here.
That's kind of the way I see it. I think if Corey gets past TJ, I think Rob and Corey would be a great fucking match.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be real interesting.
Right now, the only thing that's logical in that division as far as the belt is concerned is Petr Yan gets another crack at that because Aljamain's there.
That was one of the things that Dana was mentioning Tuesday is that because he's fucking Dana White, he's not willing to commit ever to anything unless it's already fucking signed in contract and triplicate and it's fucking, But one of the things that they are considering now that Aljamain has said that he's getting his fucking neck surgery while he's got the belt and he's not going to be able to fight again until most likely 2022, motherfucker. That if he does, and he does go ahead with that surgery in like 3 weeks or whatever he's scheduled for, that if he goes under the knife, then they're considering making an interim belt in the meanwhile, because that will be more than a full calendar year since the belt will have changed hands, even though it's a shitty way to change hands. And if they do an interim title shot, it's going to be Petr Yan versus someone, regardless, because you can't fucking deny that. So at this point, it's basically Corey, TJ, and Rob, in my opinion, fighting for that other potential interim spot against Petr Yan. But none of them have it in the
goddamn good and well, Aljamain wants to hold on to that gold for as long as he can, and the only way he can do that is to go get surgery and need medical clearance before he can come back.
Yep, because we all know damn good and well, even without that fucking surgery, there's no fucking way that belt would have actually been his, and it doesn't deserve to be. And as soon as he gets the chance, it's getting yanked off his fucking waist.
Yeah. The nicest thing I can say about Aljamain right now is he's one hell of a soccer player.
There is that. I will say this though. I think the most surprising thing for me about the Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt fight wasn't how it played out or that Cody didn't get knocked out. It was that did not win fight of the night. That was 25 minutes of fucking war. And fight of the night was Tafa versus Vandera. Tafa versus Vandera was a good fight. I won't take that away from him. But was it better than Font versus Garbrandt? I don't fucking think so. Performances of the night, Carla, Esparza, obviously, and Bruno Silva for that crazy 1 minute fucking knockout early on. Both understandable. I would have liked to have seen David Dvorak get that fucking bonus money for that one-arm choke, but I understand you got your 2 fucking stoppages, your fucking Carla, because you're going to help try and push her, so you give her the bonus, and then Silva for that 1 minute fucking crazy knockout early. I get it. But Tafa versus Vandera over Font Garbrandt for the fight of the night, that one had me a little confused.
I think somebody was drinking on the job.
Something though, right?
That's my only explanation.
It's the only thing that seems to add up a little bit anyways. But we did get a couple of interesting announcements, little tidbits here, a couple of fight announcements, and a couple little pieces of news here that I want to go over real quick before we get out of here. And then there is one, and I say this loosely, moderately sized organization's fight card this weekend in XFC 44 going on tomorrow night. 7-fight card, no prelims, just a 7-fight card. Most fans will not recognize anyone on the card other than the main event. That being said, the main event is going to be a fairly interesting prospective fight. It is Andrei Sukhumtov versus Jose Quinones, 2 former UFC veterans, both who had a lot of potential, both who faltered a little bit in the tail end of their UFC run, but both people who still very much have a lot left to give, to the extent we found out this week while they were doing the build up for that card that Andrei Sukhumtov was actually in Singapore training or as a training partner for Andre Moraes when he stopped Demetrius Johnson. Also, he was a training partner in Florida for Edson Barbosa before he just finished Shane Burgos 2 weeks ago. So, for a guy who hasn't himself been in that great big fucking fight stopping moment yet, he has been the training partner for two very recent, very big moments. So, if any of that has rubbed off on him, this could be a very, very big main event tomorrow night to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, both of those guys had a lot of fucking potential. It was just,
Fuck yeah, man.
it was too bad to watch them trip over their own dicks. To be quite honest, that's what it looked like. Like, because
Yep.
Quinones, that dude, for some odd reason, he always reminded me of a fucking conquistador. I don't know why.
Absolutely.
There was something about him, just fucking did it. Man, that ought to be a very good fight. That's probably a fight that should have happened in the UFC.
That's kind of the way I see it. Like, that's a fight that should have absolutely happened in the UFC, but the fact that XFC gets it as their main event to draw eyes in tomorrow night, not a bad move on their part, in my opinion.
No, and that's a good main event for fucking XFC. A really good main event.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Like, if you guys don't know what XFC is, that's for them. That's fucking huge. If you don't know what XFC is,
that's why I said it was a strain for me to call it a moderately successful organization, but
yeah.
given that this is how they're putting their event on tomorrow night, this actually looks really good on them, in my opinion. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that shakes loose. If you are interested, Fox Sports tomorrow night. Couple of interesting announcements we got throughout the week here. The first one I want to go ahead and get out of the way because I generally don't give two shits about it, but I know some people will. Zabit Magomed Sharapov, has officially announced that he is officially considering retiring from MMA. He said he's too frustrated. He can't get the matches that he feels he deserves, that the UFC is just holding him back, and that it has tainted his legacy such that he couldn't go to another organization and reach the level of fame that he feels he should have been able to. So now he's considering just officially retiring from MMA altogether. And my thought is, good fucking riddance.
You know the sad part about that? He's not going to retire. He's using it as a ploy to try to get some pull and get what he wants. And look,
it's a negotiation tactic.
It's a good negotiation tactic. However, Dana White doesn't fuck about your negotiation tactics. Look, there's something Dana White has made very clear. Go public with some bullshit. I'll call you on it and tell you to fuck right off. Case in point, John Jones right now. John Jones could have just shut his fucking mouth, signed paperwork, and he would be fighting for a heavyweight title right now. Instead, we get to see possibly the most boring fight twice, which I'm sure is not going to be boring this time because both of those boys learned their lesson after the first one. So, but still, play stupid games, win stupid prizes with Dana White. It's as much as I don't like Dana, that is one thing that he is very good at, and that's calling people's bullshit.
Yep. Well, and I think the other thing that really shot Zabit in the dick by being so fucking stupid is to say something like this publicly, is that his fucking teammate and literal Xerox copy fucking Khabib 2.0 wannabe counterpart, Islam Makhachev, is literally saying the exact same fucking thing and has been for almost a month now. That he can't get any fights that he wants. He feels the UFC is holding him back. They won't give him the top matchups he feels he deserves, and that he's considering just retiring from the sport altogether because it's not worth his time if he's not going to get the opportunities that he's entitled to. When both of you are saying the same shit and neither one of you are entitled to a goddamn thing, you can both go fuck all the way off as far as I'm concerned.
What I want to know is what is going on with their management, because they're both managed the same fucking company. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Ali's obviously not sucking everybody's dick right now anymore.
No, because look, they might be putting those out. That's fucking Ali. That's Ali all fucking day. I can guarantee it. Look, those boys, they probably had fights offered to them and they fucking declined them. Because, well, it's not high profile enough. Dude, if you keep crushing the soup cans they're throwing in front of you, they're going to give you big names. Just crush the soup cans, tell them I'll be ready to fight next week. Pull Kamzat. Look, Kamzat is a prime fucking example of how you play the game. You go in and you crush somebody. Oh, you need another fight next week? I'm fucking there, boss.
Yep.
See you. And now Kamzat is getting to call his own shots, even though he's only had 3 fights in the UFC and a long layoff because of a fucking COVID related illness.
Yep.
So, and he's still calling his own fucking shots and getting big fucking fights. Why? Because he knows how to play the games. You guys don't know how to play the game.
Yep. Yeah, it's
And
good fucking riddance to bad fucking fighters is what I say in both fucking cases there. But I know we've got some fans that follow the show that are Zabit fans, so you heard it, folks. You can go follow him if you want to and find out what the fucking story is. I honestly don't give a shit. Next thing we found out from the ESPN interview Tuesday, Dana White, I will give him this. He does not pussyfoot around. He does not mince his words when he wants something to be understood. And he came flat out Tuesday and he said, Joshua Fabia can go fuck himself. Diego Sanchez can call me anytime he wants and we can talk. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination this is going to fix all the stupid shit that Diego and Fabia have done over the last couple years. The only hope this does give me, because Dana literally looked directly in the camera when he said it and made a point to make this known, is that it gives me the slightest hope that there is still a chance we get to see Cowboy versus Diego for the retirement fight. And now it might be for both of their retirement fights. But I still think that fight should fucking happen. And now it looks like there's the slimmest little fucking ray of hope. It actually might.
Yeah, I'll say it's a long shot. I like it, but I still think it's a long shot.
I'm not getting my hopes up, but that's the only thing I can see coming out of that.
If you're gonna see both of those guys retire, that's the way to fucking let them go out. Because both of those two, they've been around just as long as each other, and you know what? I'm sure that would be a fun fight and fun lead up. Now that fucking hopefully Diego's out of that weird fucking headspace now, and that's
that's what we were supposed to get with the Morono fucking fight. That's what originally was booked. It was going to be Diego's retirement fight against Cowboy. Now that we saw that went like shit, and it's most likely going to be Cowboy on the next go around, anyways, that makes perfect fucking sense to rebook, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing for me in regards to that whole situation is I want to know what happened that caused Diego to go, you know what? We're done. I'm cutting this off. Did he finally realize that dude was fucking toxic?
Yeah, that Diego was weird to begin with. That's one thing that people who don't realize, who haven't been a fan as long as some of us have, Diego's always been weird. From the day he stepped foot in the Ultimate Fighter house, you knew Diego Sanchez had something going on upstairs that not many people do, or quite the opposite, doesn't have as much going on as other people do, however you want to fucking look at that. But there was something with Diego from day one. Even that being said, as soon as he hooked up with Fabia, his weird went to a whole new, undescribable level at that point. So I agree. I'm hoping whatever the fuck happened, the switch finally fucking clicked in the back of Diego's head now that he's free of that toxic motherfucker. Finish it out right. Make good with Dana. Apologize for being a fucking lunatic and doing stupid shit. Make right. Get your retirement fight.
Yeah, because to be honest, I think that would be a great way for both of them to go out. And not to mention, that's definitely what I would tune in for. I would pay-per-view that shit.
You're right. You're damn right. So hopefully that's where we see this going. It's the UFC and it's Dana White, so there's every possibility that could all have been for show and nothing's going to come of this. But now that that's officially out in the ether and can't be taken back, there is that slim little hope. So we'll see if that actually plays out. Another one here. I'm a little melancholy on here. I'm a little split emotions on. On one hand, I'm always happy to see good guys like this staying working. On the other hand, it always pisses me off when good guys like this get shit on to such an extent that they end up in this position. We found out that former Bellator and now former UFC commentator Jimmy Smith has officially been picked up and does have a new commentating gig. He has officially been signed as the new play-by-play sideline commentator for the WWE. Jimmy Smith is one of the good ones, in my opinion. Jimmy Smith and Joe Rogan was an untapped pair of fucking commentating fight IQ possession that has seldom been matched, in my opinion. And that would have been the best desk combination we as fans could have possibly fucking asked for. And for whatever reason, that just didn't fucking work out. Jimmy Smith did wonderful at Bellator. The little time he had in the UFC was great, but they both just kind of let him go on down the road. And now we're at a point where I get that they've got lots of fucking money and they've got lots of fans, and he's going to still be a big deal for, you know, people to see. But knowing where Jimmy Smith could have been and where he should have stayed, and seeing him almost forced into the WWE commentating position now, it gives me mixed feelings. I'm happy he's still working, but I'm a little butthurt that it's gotten to this extent of it.
Yeah, that's definitely fucking. To be quite honest, those days, the second the UFC let him go, I was fucking pissed. I was mad
I was a little butthurt right away.
because I was like, commentating's not going to be the same, and it hasn't been since. Like, there's a lot of times now, depending on what card we're at and who's the commentators, I'll just fucking mute it because it's fucking miserable.
That's where I'm generally at these days.
It,
It's very rare that I don't mute a fight while I'm watching UFC, and most of the time when I don't have it muted, it's only because someone like Rogan is there, where I know I'm going to at least hear some of the good calls aside from the bullshit that's going to get spewed out too.
yeah, look, this some of the just fucking absolute trash that we've had at the desk has been fucking terrible. Don't get me wrong. Hey, if Paul Felder's there, I'll listen. There are certain commentators that I'll gladly listen to. Like, I did enjoy Dan Hardy's, even though
That's
he
what I was
did say some
Hardy
off
was.
topic shit from time to time, but you know, but then again, he also
Dan
yelled
Hardy.
at fucking referees when they were
I was
doing
just saying,
something fucked up.
Dan Hardy. He wasn't going to fucking hold his punches for nobody.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's a sad situation to see such a what I'm gonna call him in now an untapped resource, because to be quite honest, that's what he is at this point. Yes, you're still working, you're still commentating, but you're not. I mean, and I'm sure he's getting paid fucking handsomely. If you're working for fucking WWE, you're making some goddamn money. Those guys,
But
they're
he's still going to be around. He's still going to be obviously making money. They don't fucking offer you the bottom rung job. They still got some deep pockets to hook you up with. But
yeah. I'm just saying it's a sad thing though, because I think he definitely belonged in the world of MMA, without a shadow of a doubt. How both of those organizations, the UFC and Bellator, let him go, I do not fucking know. Look, number one, I don't like listening to Bellator. I don't. I like Big John McCarthy, but not as a ringside announcer. He's very fucking knowledgeable, but his ringside announcing skills are fucking garbage. He does an okay interview after the fight, but
he's not bad.
he's not bad in the post fight, but fucking during the fight's terrible. I miss the days of him actually being a ref, because he was a no nonsense fucking great referee. But obviously, age got the better of him because he gets the better of everybody, and so he had to move to something else. But to be honest, not a desk person. And you let Jimmy go? What the fuck? But hey, yeah.
Well, and the step above that in the level of irony is that they let Jimmy go and brought in Moro. They brought in the voice of WWE to be the Bellator commentator, and let the voice of Bellator end up in WWE now.
Some intra office trading going on there.
I was gonna say Scott Coker has got to be making some fucking late night phone calls with somebody or something there, because that's fucking weird. But a couple more things I want to run down here before we let you guys out of here. It is getting a little bit late. Couple of fight announcements that are coming up that are worth everyone's time to keep an eye on here. The first one, and the most important one, in my opinion, here, officially booked as of this afternoon, the rematch, the run back, June 19th, Fight Circus 3 Fisting for Dollars is official. The Backstreet Boys restrictions in Thailand have been lifted. We will now see a literal phone booth match, Muay Thai, taking place in an actual fucking phone booth. We will see a Siamese boxing match where two men are quite literally tied together at the belly and will fight two other men tied together at the belly. We will see an all kick Muay Thai match. Only kicks, no punches, no grappling, just fucking kicks. We will see all of the craziest fights, and the best thing, in my opinion, about Fight Circus, the secret fights. They literally book fights that they don't promote at all, so you have to watch to see them. And if you think the shit that I just told you about is crazy, wait till you see some of the secret fights on that fucking card. I will say this right now, because Fight Circus says this: do not watch from your business computer. Make sure you have an antivirus, and make sure you are not on a company computer when you watch it. But goddamn, I'm telling you right now, you are not going to want to miss this. They always put on an absolute fucking nut show, and it's great time. That being said, back over here into the world of the quote unquote normal side of the fight things. July 17th has had its official main event announced. We have confirmed as of yesterday afternoon, Yair Rodriguez will come off a 2-year hiatus and return to the octagon to take on no less than Max Blast Holloway. I don't know whose dick Yair sucked to get that fight, but I almost feel bad for him, because the weird thing about this matchup is that Max Holloway is one of the best at dishing out punishment and just throwing an ungodly amount of strikes during a fight. And Yair Rodriguez's strong suit, to counterpoint that so perfectly, is getting punched a million fucking times during a fight, but making it look cool. So this has all kinds of potential to be a real fun main event coming up in a little over a month and a half there. One that is not quite as pugilistically exciting, but more aesthetically interesting, I think is the best way to put this, is the confirmation that we got yesterday for the main event taking place on July 23rd at BKFC 19, the rematch of the previously run fight in the UFC one Paige Van Zant, now welcoming to bare knuckle Rachel Ostovich. This is not going to be a great fight, but this will be fun to watch.
I'm pretty sure we called that the second they fucking signed Rachel off.
Sir, we did. Yes, sir, we did. That's literally one of the first things we called when they signed her.
And you know, there was hints dropped at that too, and I swear in both of them before they even made it official that she signed paperwork to join. So I have a feeling those two broads knew they were going to be fighting each other before it.
We called that shit right out of the goddamn gate, and Feldman made it official yesterday. It will be the July 23rd headliner. So between Rachel getting in there now and them signing Pearl Gonzalez, and then them signing Minnie, whatever the fuck her last name was, and then two Brazilian ladies that they signed this week, BKFC is picking up all of the IG hotties, not necessarily the most intense boxers, but all of the eyeball popping baddies that they can get their hands on right now. So if nothing else, BKFC merch is about to take a serious stiffening in sales, I guess you would be able to say. But it's going to be interesting to see how the summer shakes loose over there.
You know, the only thing I can say about that is, why are you making these fights when you still have a strap holder over there that hasn't had a fight in almost a fucking year.
In almost a full calendar year now. Yeah, who's actually started to train other people who are fighting because they can't get him a fight.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's some bald-headed hoe shit that wants to fight. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Now, I do have to say, from a business standpoint, making Paige versus Rachel is not the worst thing they could have done. But in true Dana White, oh, you think so fashion, about an hour and a half after we had the confirmation of Paige versus Rachel headlining BKFC 19 on July 23rd, we got the word from Dana himself that the confirmed rebooked but no date given TJ Dillashaw versus Corey Sandhagen match that everyone is waiting for will now officially headline the July 24th card. So nice try on David Feldman to get the eyes on Friday evening, so to speak. But Dana's still going to bring the fans back Saturday night with the fights that people actually want to watch for the sake of fun. So there is that. I was kind of excited to see that. We did get one more last minute announcement that literally just came through not even an hour before we started tonight. This is fresh off the goddamn presses here. We kind of thought they were going to cut him, and it looked like they were going to. It turns out they did not. The UFC officially just confirmed this evening that July 10th UFC 264 has officially had a last-minute fight added to it in the form of one Michelle Pereira taking on Nico Price. Talk about two fucking styles that make no sense other than in the world of MMA. And they're going to throw those two weird motherfuckers together. That, as much as I don't like Pereira, stylistically, as weird as he is, might fit pretty well with Nico Price. It could actually make for a really interesting match. So I am legitimately interested to see how that one turns out. And then the last one here that I wanted to talk about real quick, didn't anticipate it was just going to be me and TJ. I figured we'd at least have the kid here for this one, but so be it. I'm sure we're still going to give you something good on this one. With the announcement this week of John Jones officially signing his new representation in the form of Golden Boy's former fight promoter, who Dana White ironically has a good business relationship with, although he's coming from the boxing world, is known as the deal maker. Like, this is the guy who got Golden Boy to be, or Golden Pony, whatever the fuck they called De La Hoya's bullshit back then. He got them to be where they were. He got the talent into the shows that they put on. He was formerly working with Triller as well because of De La Hoya, but he is part of the reason that all of the bigger fights that all of those organizations have put on lately were because this is the deal guy. They're calling him the modern Don King. So if that gives you an idea of how many deals this guy can get done, that's John Jones' new representative. And Dana White made a statement this afternoon that said that he has and always has had a good working relationship with Richard, that if John Jones is serious, that this will likely be one of the things that will get him a deal negotiated. So the last thing I want to talk about here before we get out, with new representation that Dana is more familiar with and seemingly more open to, do we see John Jones in the octagon in 2021? Or is he, like he tweeted, actually content to wait until 2022 and still think he's going to be relevant?
New representation or not, he shot himself in the foot too many times lately. I say absolutely fucking not. At this point, whatever table scraps they throw at him, that motherfucker better be willing to eat up. I don't care how long you held the light heavyweight belt for. At this point, you're not legitimate. You've lost any legitimacy you've had by not taking one fight since saying, I'm going to move to heavyweight and relinquishing your strap. I mean, let's see. Jan has since won the belt, defended the belt, And you've done what? Packed on some weight to look like a fucking linebacker? You don't play football, motherfucker. Take a fight or get the fuck off social media. Or if you're going to stay on social media, change it from MMA focus to your guns and ammo shit that you've been doing. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with being a gun-toting American. I'm all for that. But change your moniker. If that's what you want to do with your life, do that. There is nothing wrong with that. You want to retire and not fight anymore? That's fine. But don't hold everybody else fucking hostage to your bullshit. That's all I'm saying. Shit or get off the pot.
So do you think he fights again this year? Or do you think he
No.
sits on the sideline?
I think we see him out another fucking year because he's too dumb to fucking take a fight right now. And I'll say it, too fucking dumb to take a fight right now. Look, as good of a fighter as he is, he could have had even one. I would take just one good tune-up fight at heavyweight for him. Would have been good right now. But the longer he waits, the less legitimate he becomes in that division, the lower ranking opponent that they're going to give him. He could have easily just signed the fucking paperwork and been fighting Ngannou for a title. First fight at heavyweight. Easy. No problem. Don't pay me. Motherfucker, you haven't earned it at heavyweight. You earned it at light heavyweight. There's a difference. Had you said, oh, I want to do this as a champ fight, okay, I'm okay for that. Then pay me. But this, oh, I relinquished my title. Dude, you're not even a title holder anymore. You willingly gave that up. You have no legitimacy right now. And because you were complaining about money, getting paid what you're worth. Look, I get it. Your name is a draw. You are worth some money. But the amount of money you were talking is not the same amount of money as Conor McGregor money. Look, I hate to tell you this. Conor McGregor's on a fucking losing skid and still worth more fucking money than you. Why? Because he fights and he knows how to play the game. But he fights. I'm just saying. Shit or get off the pot. But I think he's not going to shit. He's just going to sit on the fucking pot all goddamn year long. And I don't even think we'll see him in 2022. At this point, throughout he's gone, we'll be lucky if we see him by fucking 2024.
And the extra ironic bit, I think, for me at least, is that if John would have just been smart about this, he could have fought Francis Ngannou in a non-title fight and probably gotten 15 million. Maybe he's not going to get to 30, but he probably could have gotten 15 million. And even on a loss to Francis Ngannou, just by showing that he's willing to get in there and mix it up and go to the top immediately at heavyweight, he probably could have gotten the rematch with Francis after Francis beat Stipe and made the 30 million that he's crying that he wanted, and then gotten pay-per-view points on top of that as a challenger. But he had to play the asshole card the way that he did.
Yep.
So I see it a little differently. I'm not highly hopeful, but I do see two ways we could potentially see John in the octagon in 2021 still, before the end of this year. The first one would be if Francis Ngannou gets hurt. Because if Francis gets hurt, like in training, pulls a bicep, blows an ACL, I'm not wishing him an injury by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying hypothetically. If Francis gets hurt in training camp when they're already building this Francis Derek 2 shit, we already know what Derek's going to take for that fight. He's taking the $8 million. That leaves John the opportunity to backdoor in. He ain't going to get that 30 still, but he can get more than he would have and make Derek look like an asshole for taking the $8 million and pushing him out, and then still have the Francis title fight looming in the win. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think it's going to go that way, but I could see that happen. The other way that I see that is much more likely, in my opinion, to give us Jones back in the octagon in 2021 is for his new representative to sit down with Dana and Dana to basically tell him, look, your dude's not getting this money. I like you. I don't give a fuck. This is what we're going to offer him. Plain and simple. If he doesn't want it, he can sit on the fucking shelf all year long. We don't give a shit. This is the final offer, period. And then John's going to hear that from his dude, realize he doesn't have any negotiating chips left. And he's going to go back to the fucking gym and he's going to cut back to 205 and he's going to try and call out Jan. Other than that, I don't think we see John again, at least until next year.
Oh, yeah. Guaranteed not until next year. I'm more apt to see him dropping to 205 than seeing him fight at heavyweight ever.
That's the way that I'm starting to feel now, because don't get me wrong. As much as we saw greatness, legitimate greatness from John Jones at light heavyweight, and I am bona fide curious about what a motivated 245-pound John Jones fighting at heavyweight would look like. That could be very interesting. But at this point, I'm almost less interested in heavyweight John versus Derek, heavyweight John versus Stipe, heavyweight John versus Francis, as I am curious now, with the time off and the weight fluctuation, about what light heavyweight John against Jan Blachowicz could look like. That Polish power's been way too underestimated, and it's been proven every fucking time it's been tested over the last couple of years. It's fucking there. And John has overlooked him more than maybe anyone else. So John literally has to tuck tail and come crawling back to 205. Sad little fucking let me back into play in the club Johnny versus Jan running the fucking division Blachowicz could get us a very interesting Christmas present this year.
That would be an interesting present. But to be quite honest, that's not what I want to open at this point. If he comes back to 205, I think he should have to work his way back up again. You stepped away. You willingly left your shit. You don't get an immediate title shot, in my opinion. No matter how dominant you were. And I say were because you're not there anymore. And you legitimately had, I will say, guaranteed one fight that you lost, that you should not have the fucking title.
That I both agree with you and I don't agree with you on that. I do agree that he shouldn't go directly back to the top. That's Glover's spot. Glover earned that. I don't think John should ever get to take that away from Glover. Glover's next. What I would be interested in, though, is if John comes back and you make him fight Reyes again. Non-title. 3-round. It could be very different all the way around, and it would show us both, is John serious and is Dominic really done?
Yeah, I can see that too. Look, you stepped away. When you willingly give something up, you shouldn't get an immediate shot at it. You should have to have at least one fight before you get a title shot. Look, I understood that. Hey, we're gonna give you the winner of Francis and Stipe. That I understood. But then he bitched about the money. When you did that, you fucked yourself in really big money. I mean, you fucked yourself big time. You should have taken the fight at the 15 million or whatever the fuck they offered you. Because if you had won or if you had lost, that makes you a massive draw at heavyweight.
That's exactly the way I see it. Win or lose.
Yeah.
It would have made him look good.
And now you literally fucking cut off your nose to spite your face. It doesn't work out. Even if he goes back down at this point, I don't think that he would even be able to hold a candle to Jan right now. I really don't. I mean, you look at what Dominic did to him during that fight and then what Jan did to Dominic. I don't like to throw MMA math out there. But...
Yeah, that's why I said if he comes back, make him fight Dominic again, because that'll tell us a lot about both of them, and it gives Glover the chance to get his title shot that he fucking earned and better not fucking get deprived of.
I don't, to be quite honest, right now, I'm over the John Jones saga thing. To be quite honest, I hope he fucking hangs the gloves up at this point. Because to be honest,
I'm kind of in the same boat. Yeah.
Look, it's since his being a fucking idiot and having his I'm doing stupid shit outside of the ring when I'm making millions of dollars problems. I've tried to just benefit of the doubt. And I've been that guy. I didn't want to. I'm not that guy anymore. Fuck him. Fuck John Jones. Take a goddamn fight or shut the fuck up and retire. Stop playing these piddly ass bullshit games. Your name is not Conor McGregor. You've never had a red panty night.
Nope.
And at this rate, you're not going to get one because you're not playing the game right. Look, everybody since Conor has figured out how to make people get red panty nights, want a red panty night. But you're not Conor. None of these guys have the business sense that motherfucker does. Nor the negotiation skills, apparently.
I was going to say, or the negotiation ability. Yeah.
When you can sell a fight the way that guy does, dude, the last time that John Jones had a chance at a red panty night was when him and DC were punching and shoving each other off of a fucking stage.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
That ship has sailed. That's all I'm saying. Fuck him. We won't see him till maybe never.
Yeah, no shit. But since it was just us and even the kid didn't show up, I think that means that we should both automatically get a point for tonight, even though we don't have to call a fight. So
2 points.
Yeah, good. Since we would have been calling, that's right, 2 points. Good call. And since I make the rules, I like that.
I got to make up for last week.
There you go. Yeah, 2 points for us tonight. There you go. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we have for this particular episode this evening. I know we did end up running a little bit long, but I kind of had a feeling we would. We didn't have fights to talk about, just some shit to go over with you guys. But I do appreciate everybody who tuned in live. I see you guys out there. I appreciate everybody who's using us for background noise over on anchor.fm. I know that we're ugly, but we at least sound intelligent sometimes. So there is that. You can also follow the show on all other social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. The links are all down below. If you like what we do, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. Help support the show. Gives you access to behind the scenes shit that we don't air, shit that we can't air, things like that. So there is that. But before we do get out of here, I do want to take just a moment here and thank my grateful co-host here. If at this point in the game, folks have not found out where to get themselves some delicious fried cheese curds and maybe directions now that he's back home to go check out the Kenosha Crippler himself, how can folks get a hold of you after the show, Golf T?
Fucking Wednesday nights right here on the YouTubes, 9:30 Central Time, right on my channel. Of course, every Thursday I'm here. You can shoot me a message on the Instagram. I'll gladly shoot you something back. I'll give you directions. Even tell you where to get the best side of ranch to go with those fried cheese curds on your way to go find that Kenosha Crippler, because, you know, nice fucking guy like that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Always appreciate your time, sir. We are going to call that all for this particular evening, though. So until next time, folks, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you really thought the UFC was going to put on fights during Memorial Day weekend.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.